The porch light was already on when Jack Rourke came out of the little blue house with the peeling trim. It was late afternoon sun slipping toward the Atlantic sky, washed in soft orange. The air smelled like salt and cut grass. Behind him, the screen door creaked and slammed as his daughter bounced out, sneakers squeaking on the concrete. "Dad, you forgot your coffee," Lily said. She held out the travel mug with both hands like it was something fragile. She was 7, all skinny arms and wild brown hair, a pink backpack almost as big as her. Jack took the mug and brushed a strand of hair from her face. "Thanks, Bug. You always forget it," she said. "If I do not remind you, you will drink gas." "I think I would notice at the pump," he said. "You would not. You do not notice when I wear different socks." He looked down. She had one sock with tiny sharks and one with purple stars. "Looks like you are prepared for anything," he said. Lily glanced back at the house, then at the porch light glowing over the front steps. "Can you leave it on?" she asked. Jack followed her gaze. The bulb hummed softly. It was early to have it lit. The street was still bright. "You worried we will be back after dark?" he asked. "I just like knowing it is on," she said. "When it is on, it feels like the house is waiting for us. When it is off, it feels like we forgot it." Jack watched her face while she said it. She did not look scared. Just serious in that way children sometimes are when they say something that lands heavier than they mean it to. He reached over and squeezed her shoulder. "Porch light stays on," he said. "Always. That is our deal. If it is on, it means I will always find my way back to you." Lily seemed to think about that for a second. Then she nodded, satisfied. "Okay," she said. "Do not break the deal." He locked the front door, and they walked down the little path of cracked concrete, past the struggling hydrangea bush Lily had insisted on planting in the spring. The truck waited at the curb, an old silver pickup with more rust than paint. Lily tugged his sleeve before he opened the driver door. "Wait," she said. "We did not flip the coin." Jack checked his watch. They were fine on time. Harbor Mart was 15 minutes away. He slipped a hand into his pocket and pulled out the silver coin that never left him. It was worn smooth at the edges, stamped with an eagle, and a year older than he was. It had been in his pocket through 3 deployments and one long night in a desert he did not think about unless he had to. "Okay," he said. "Important question. Pizza or burgers for dinner?" "Burgers," Lily said immediately. "Then why do we need the coin?" he asked. "It is the rule," she said. "We always flip for fun stuff." Jack smiled in spite of himself. He placed the coin on his thumb and looked at her. "Call it." "Eagle," she said. He flipped it into the air. It spun, caught the last of the sunlight, and came down into his palm with a soft smack. He covered it with his other hand, dragged it out for a second, then lifted his fingers. "Shield," he said. Lily frowned. "That means pizza." "For most people," Jack said. "But your dad is a generous man." Her eyes brightened. "Burgers?" she asked. "Burgers," he said. "Sometimes we do not let the coin decide everything." She seemed to like that answer. She climbed into the truck and wrestled with her seatbelt. Jack slid behind the wheel, starting the engine. As he pulled away from the curb, he glanced back once at the house. The porch light glowed against the growing shadows, a tiny warm circle on worn blue siding. The drive to Harbor Mart cut along the edge of the water. The bay lay flat and gray to their left, dotted with ships farther out, silhouettes against the horizon. Lily talked the whole way, filling the cab with words. "Ms. Turner said, my drawing looked like a real fox," she said. "Not the scary kind, the cute kind. So, can I get a fox plush instead of a unicorn this time, if they have a fox? If they do not have a fox, I guess a raccoon is okay, but not the kind with sharp teeth." Jack answered when she needed him to small sounds of agreement. Mostly he listened. The sound of her voice had a way of pushing back the heavy things that liked to sit behind his ribs. They pulled into the crowded lot as the sun slid lower. Harbor Mart rose ahead in blue and white, big and bland and familiar. Carts rattled, gulls screamed overhead, chasing dropped fries. Jack parked near the middle of the lot, not too far, not too close. Habit. He scanned the rows of cars without thinking about it. Old instincts did not care that this was only a shopping trip. Inside it was all air conditioning and fluorescent lights, pop songs humming from speakers. Lily dragged him past clothes and tools toward the toy aisle. She made 3 laps before she decided on a fox with oversized ears and a ridiculous little grin. "This one," she said, clutching it to her chest. "He looks like he knows secrets." "Good, we can ask him what is on sale," Jack said. Checkout was quick. He let Lily swipe the card, her tongue caught between her teeth in concentration as she pushed the buttons. On their way out, the change in air hit him. From artificial cool to the warm evening, from a smooth tile floor to the faint grit under his boots. The sky had deepened to a deeper orange with streaks of purple. The lot looked the same, but the light made the shadows thicker. Lily's hand found his without looking. Her new fox was tucked under her other arm. The plastic of the Harbor Mart bag rustled as Jack shifted it to his left hand. They walked between rows of vehicles, passing a line of minivans and SUVs. Somewhere close, an engine started, then cut off. A car door slammed. Someone laughed. Then a scream tore across the lot. It was not a startled yelp or a playful shout. It was sharp and high, and full of a kind of fear that Jack had heard before in very different places. It cut through the sound of carts and cars like broken glass on tile. He stopped. Lily bumped into his side. "Dad," she whispered. The scream came again, shorter, choked off. Jack turned his head toward the sound. About 60 yards away, near the far end of the row, he saw movement between a dark blue SUV and a white cargo van. At first it looked like people arguing beside a vehicle. Then his eyes made sense of it. 3 men backs turned toward him were crowding a woman toward the open side door of the van. One had her by the arm. Another had a hand pressed to the small of her back. The third stood a little apart, head turning, scanning the lot. His body went still in a way that had nothing to do with his bad knee. The rest of the world smeared at the edges narrowed down to that van and those 4 figures. Someone pushed a cart past them without looking up. A man loaded grocery bags into his trunk 3 spaces away. No one else seemed to see it. Lily squeezed his hand. "Dad," she said. Her voice was small now. "What are they doing to her?" He could hear the training officer from years ago in his head listing all the reasons to stay out. Unarmed, outnumbered, child present. Call it in, wait for backup. He already had his phone in his right hand. He did not remember pulling it out, but it was there. His thumb tapped 911. The line rang once. As the dispatcher answered, he was already moving. Slow at first, then faster. His bad knee protested, sending a sharp ache up his thigh, but he pushed past it. He stopped only long enough to crouch and get his face level with Lily's. "Bug," he said, "look at me." Her eyes were wide blue in the fading light, already shining with tears she had not let fall yet. "I need you to do something very important," Jack said. His voice was calm in a way that felt separate from his body. "Go straight to the truck, get in, lock all the doors. Do not open them for anyone but me, you understand?" "What are you doing?" she asked. "Dad, what are you going to do?" He heard the dispatcher in his ear asking for location, describing her own script. He gave the name of the store and the lot, without looking away from Lily. "I am going to help that lady," he said quietly. "You saw her. She needs help. I cannot do both things at once. I cannot protect you and help her if you are out here, so I need you in the truck, safe, so I can do what I have to do." Lily's chin trembled. "You will come back?" she asked. Jack could feel the answer he wanted to give. He could feel the lie forming. He swallowed it. "I love you," he said instead. "Remember our porch light? I am coming back to you." He pressed the phone into her hand, guided her toward the row, where the truck sat bright silver in the falling light. Then he turned toward the van and started walking. Jack walked at first, then his walk slid into a controlled jog. He kept his shoulders loose and his hands at his sides, nothing in his posture to signal threat from a distance. The phone was still live at his ear. "Harbor Mart on Shoreline," he said, breath steady. "South lot. White cargo van, no markings. 3 male suspects, 1 female. I am closing distance." "Sir, officers are on the way," the dispatcher said. "Do not engage. Can you keep your distance and be a good witness?" Jack slid between 2 parked SUVs. The smell of hot metal and exhaust hung low in the air. The van was closer now, maybe 30 yards. The woman struggled once hard. One of the men jerked her arm. Her voice broke. "Please stop. I do not want to go. Please." The third man, the lookout turned his head. His gaze swept over the lot and skimmed right past Jack, who was hidden behind a pickup with a camper shell. "Negative," Jack said softly into the phone. "I cannot keep distance." He ended the call and dropped the phone into his pocket. His heart rate kicked up, but his mind felt clear. Distance angles cover numbers. The world narrowed again, not in panic, but in a familiar way that made part of him feel younger than he was. The woman wore a navy blazer and white blouse, dark hair pulled into a twist that had come half undone. One man had his arm locked around her shoulders. Another gripped her wrist. The one near the driver door, the lookout had his hand close to his waistband. Jack shifted position so that the lookout would be his first point of contact. He moved along the side of a sedan, keeping the metal between them. His bad knee throbbed. He ignored it. 10 yards. The lookout turned toward the aisle Jack was in. Their eyes met. The man's expression flickered from irritation to interest. "Hey, buddy," he called, voice sudden and friendly. "You lost or something?" His right hand dipped toward his hip. Jack closed the last few yards in 3 quick strides. He did not answer. His left hand shot out and clamped around the man's wrist before the weapon cleared his belt. He yanked the forearm across his own chest, locking it in place. The man's eyes went wide. "Hey, what the fuck?" Jack drove the heel of his right hand up into the man's chin. The impact rocked the man's head back against the side of the van with a hollow thud. His knees buckled. Jack shifted his weight, swept the man's leg with his own, and guided him down, using the van to break the fall. Bone met metal, then asphalt. The man lay still. The other two spun at the noise. The one holding the woman's shoulders let go. He was younger, narrower, wearing a gray hoodie. He rushed Jack fast, hands out as if he meant to grab and choke. Jack stepped to the side, caught the charging man's wrist and hip, and used his momentum against him. The throw was simple and efficient. The man's back hit the asphalt, air bursting from his lungs in a harsh wheeze. Jack followed with his knee into the man's solar plexus, not full force, just enough. The man's eyes rolled back. "Stay down," Jack said. The last man was the one who worried him. He was a little older, thick shoulders under a brown leather jacket. He still had the woman's wrist. As Jack turned toward him, Jack saw the flash of a blade at the man's side. 4 inches of steel caught the fading sunlight as the man shifted his grip. Everyone else in the lot seemed to move in slow motion. A kid pushing a cart, a woman on her phone laughing into the speaker, no one looking here. The woman had stopped fighting. Her jaw was clenched, eyes wide. She dug her heels into the ground to resist the pull toward the van. "Let her go," Jack said. Leather Jacket smiled without humor. "You do not want to play hero, man. Walk away." The knife came up close to the woman's ribs now. Prison grip blade angled up. Jack let his gaze settle on the knife. Everything else became background. Leather Jacket shoved the woman away so she stumbled to her knees by the van. Then he stepped toward Jack. "You picked the wrong day," the man said. The thrust came in low and fast, aimed for Jack's gut. Jack cut his body sideways and caught the man's wrist with his left hand. He twisted, starting a lock that should have sent the knife to the ground. The man rolled his wrist, slipping out of the hold, and swapped the knife to his other hand. The blade flashed once and fire ripped across Jack's forearm. He felt the cold first, then the burn. He grabbed again this time, clamping both hands on the knife wrist and twisting hard. There was a satisfying crunch in the man's wrist. The knife clattered against the asphalt. Jack followed with an elbow that smashed into the man's nose. Cartilage gave way. Blood sprayed onto the side of the van. Leather Jacket swore, staggered back. Jack hooked his leg behind the man's ankle and drove him into the van cabin first. The man dropped, dazed blood soaking his shirt. Then it was over. Jack stood among 3 motionless bodies, chest heaving. The van door hung open. The woman still knelt on the ground, hands braced on the pavement. Her blazer was torn, hair fallen from its twist, but she was breathing. Her eyes were locked on Jack's bleeding arm. "Are you hurt?" he asked. She shook her head, swallowed, tried to speak, and failed. She nodded instead. "Stay where you are," Jack said. "Police are coming." He heard sirens, now distant but growing. Somewhere behind him a car door opened. "Holy crap," a voice said. "Is he recording this?" another asked. Phones were out now, pointed in his direction. The crowd had finally noticed. Jack stepped back from the men on the ground, raising his empty hands, palms open. Blood from his forearm dripped onto the asphalt in little red dots. A woman from the store pushed a cart full of bottled water, stopping short when she saw the scene. A child in the cart pointed at the van. "Mom, look." The sirens grew louder, then 3 patrol cars swung into the aisle, tires chirping. Officers spilled out, guns drawn. "Hands where we can see them," one shouted. Jack spread his fingers wider, lifted his hands higher, breathing hard. He remembered Lily tucked into the truck in another row, clutching a fox plush and his phone. "I am the caller," he said, voice hoarse. "Jack Rourke. I called 911. These 3 attempted to abduct that woman." The woman found her voice, then pushing herself to her feet. "He saved me," she said. "They had a knife. He stopped them." One officer swept in, kicked the knife farther away, and cuffed Leather Jacket, who groaned. Another checked, pulses rolled. The unconscious men secured their hands. A paramedic was suddenly in front of Jack, gloved hands, already reaching for his arm. "Let me see that," she said. "It is fine," Jack said out of habit. She peeled his fingers away from the wound. The cut was long and deep, already leaking through his shirt sleeve. "This is not fine," she said. "You need stitches." "I am not going to the emergency room," Jack said. "I cannot afford that." She gave him a look. Not pity, just tired understanding. "We can start the cleanup here," she said. "But if it keeps bleeding like that, you are going in whether you can afford it or not." He sat on the back of the ambulance while they flushed the cut with saline. The sting was sharp, clean. The smell of antiseptic replaced the reek of asphalt and hot metal. An officer walked a few yards away, speaking into his radio. Another took statements from a couple who claimed they had seen the whole thing but clearly had missed most of it. The woman in the blazer sat on the ambulance bumper beside Jack, a blanket around her shoulders despite the warm air. "You okay?" he asked again. She looked at him properly for the first time. Her eyes were a clear gray, steady, and intelligent. There was a small cut on her lip already crusting. "I think so," she said. "I will be when this stops shaking." She held up her hands. They trembled in the air. Jack glanced down. His were steady. The adrenaline was starting to ebb, leaving a hollow space inside his chest, but his fingers did not show it. "What is your name?" he asked. "Claire," she said. "Claire Whitaker." Before he could answer, a familiar small voice cut through the noise. "Dad." Lily stood a few steps away, fox plush crushed against her chest, a young officer hovering behind her. "You did perfect," Jack said at once. "You stayed in the truck." Her eyes went to his bandaged arm, then to the men on the ground being loaded onto stretchers. For a moment, she looked much smaller than she had outside their house. "You are bleeding," she said. "I have been worse," he said. "Come here." He opened his good arm and she launched herself at him, hugging his waist, pressing her face into his chest. He could feel her breath hitching against him. A detective arrived while the paramedic stitched his arm on the tail of the ambulance. The man flashed a badge, introduced himself, started questions that felt like they came from far away. Jack answered in short, factual sentences, where he had been, what he had seen, what he had done. He did not mention the way the world had narrowed, or how easy it had been to slip into patterns he thought he had left behind. By the time the sun dipped fully, the scene had thinned. The three attackers were on their way to the hospital under guard. The van was marked for towing. Most of the bystanders had drifted back into their own evenings. Claire stood near a black sedan driven by a man in a suit. She had given her statement and signed a form. Her eyes kept flicking toward Jack and Lily. When the detective was done, he closed his notebook. "Mr. Rourke, you heading to the hospital with that cut?" he asked. "No," Jack said. "She patched me." The paramedic nodded. "He is stitched," she said, "but he should take it easy." Jack swung his legs down from the ambulance, his knee barking in protest as his weight hit it. Lily clung to his side, one hand wrapped in the fabric of his shirt. Claire stepped forward, stopping a few feet away. "I did not get to say thank you," she said. "You already did," Jack said. She shook her head. "Not really. You stepped in when everyone else decided it was not their problem." Her gaze slid to Lily. "And you did it with your daughter watching." Jack did not respond to that. He did not know what to say that would not sound wrong. "Are you going to be okay?" he asked instead. "Yes," she said. "My father will make sure of that." There was something in the way she said it that made Jack think her father was not the kind of man who sold insurance. "Good," he said. She hesitated, as if there was more she wanted to add, then just nodded once and turned back to the sedan. The driver opened the rear door for her. She got in without looking back. Jack watched the car pull away, taillights blinking, as it merged into the slow flow of traffic. Later at home, Lily fell asleep on the couch before he could get her into pajamas. The fox plush was tucked under her chin. A cartoon murmured from the television volume low. Jack turned off the TV and lifted her carefully. She mumbled and clung to his neck, but did not wake. He carried her to her room, laid her on the bed, and pulled a blanket over her small body. In the hallway, he paused by the front door. The porch light still glowed outside, painting a pale circle on the steps. He opened the door and stepped out onto the small porch. The air was cooler now. Somewhere down the street, a dog barked. A car rolled past tires, whispering over asphalt. He looked at the light for a long moment, then reached up and tightened the bulb a fraction, as if that would make it brighter. Inside, the house smelled like laundry detergent and crayons. He locked the door, checked the windows, did a slow circuit of the rooms without thinking about it. Sleep came late and was full of flashes. The woman's face, the knife, Lily's eyes when she saw his arm. Morning arrived anyway. He had just poured cereal into 2 bowls and started coffee when someone knocked on the front door. 3 firm raps, precise and confident. Jack glanced at the clock. It was barely 8. "Stay here," he told Lily. He wiped his hands on a dish towel and went to the door. When he looked through the peephole, he straightened without meaning to. A man in a navy dress uniform stood on the small concrete stoop cover, tucked under one arm. Silver stars on his shoulders, rows of ribbons on his chest. His posture carried command even in stillness. Behind him, dressed in a pale blouse and dark slacks, was Claire Whitaker. Jack opened the door. Up close, the man on his porch looked even more out of place against the faded blue siding and the scuffed welcome mat. He was tall in his late 50s, with iron gray hair, cut close uniform, pressed so sharp it seemed to cut the air. "Mr. Rourke?" the man asked. Jack straightened without thinking about it. "That is me," he said. "I am Admiral Thomas Whitaker, United States Navy." He said it like it should mean something, and it did. The two silver stars on his shoulders caught the morning light. His eyes took in Jack in a second. Bare feet, old t-shirt, bandaged forearm. Behind him, Claire stood a little to the side, hands folded loosely in front of her. She had replaced last night's torn blazer with a pale blue blouse and dark slacks. Her hair was pinned neatly again, but there was a faint bruise coming up along her jaw. She gave Jack a small nod. "May we come in?" the Admiral asked. Jack hesitated just long enough for Lily's voice to float from the kitchen. "Dad, who is it?" "Stay in there," Jack called back. He stepped aside and opened the door wider. "Yes, sir." They walked in. The Admiral's gaze moved over the living room, the second-hand couch, the low coffee table with crayons scattered across it, the picture frames on the wall. One frame held a photo of Jack in a tan uniform younger, standing with 5 other men in dusty gear, all of them grinning at the camera with the sun in their eyes. The Admiral paused in front of that one. "Team picture," he asked. "Dev group rotation out of Kandahar," Jack said. The Admiral gave the barest nod as if confirming something he already knew, and turned back to him. Lily appeared at the edge of the hallway, clutching her cereal bowl, milk sloshing near the rim. Her hair was a tangle. She wore a t-shirt with a cartoon dolphin and pajama shorts with clouds. She froze when she saw the uniform. Jack gave her a half smile. "It is okay, Bug," he said. "These are friends." She eyed the Admiral, then Claire, then moved closer, her bare feet soundless on the hardwood. "Hi," she said. "Hello," Claire said gently. "We met at the store, remember? You were very brave." Lily nodded once solemn. "Go finish your breakfast," Jack said. "I will be there in a minute." She looked like she wanted to stay. Then she nodded and vanished back toward the kitchen. The house felt smaller, with the Admiral inside it. The man carried a presence that pushed against the low ceiling and the walls. "I read the incident report from last night," Admiral Whitaker said. "Then I watched about 15 different phone videos of the same event. People were very eager to post your work online." Jack exhaled through his nose. "Great," he said. "You took down 3 armed men in under a minute," the Admiral continued, "with a child on the premises and no weapon of your own. It was messy, but it was effective." "I did what I had to," Jack said. "Anyone in my position would have." The Admiral's mouth twitched, not quite a smile. "No," he said, "they would not." He gestured toward the couch. "May we sit?" Jack nodded. They settled. Claire chose the armchair near the window, sitting straight, hands folded in her lap. Jack stayed standing at first, then took the edge of the couch when the Admiral waited him out. "Claire is my daughter," Admiral Whitaker said. "She is also a lieutenant in Navy intelligence. For the last several months, she has been assigned to a joint task force investigating a human trafficking network operating out of Norfolk and the surrounding ports." Jack looked from him to Claire. She gave a small, dry smile. "Busy week," she said. "The 3 men who tried to force her into that van, the Admiral went on work for a man named Miguel Vargas. On paper, he runs shipping and trucking companies. In reality, he moves people, young women mostly, sometimes men. They are taken, processed, sold overseas. We know of at least 7 confirmed abductions linked to his network. We suspect many more." Jack felt his jaw tighten. "And last night," he asked. "Last night was an attempted snatch and intimidation play rolled into one," the Admiral said. "Claire has been getting close. Too close. Someone inside his operation recognized her. He sent those 3 to grab her in a public place and deliver a message at the same time." "Message received," Claire said quietly. Jack looked at her. "You knew going in," he said. "You knew what kind of people you were poking." She lifted one shoulder. "I knew enough," she said. The Admiral watched Jack's face. "When you intervened, you altered the course of that operation. And of ours," he said. 3 of Vargas's men in custody gives us leverage we did not have. They can talk. They are already starting to. You gave us an opening." Jack let out a slow breath. "So, this is the part," he said, "where you tell me you came to say thank you." "That is the first part," the Admiral said. "You saved my daughter's life. No father forgets that." Something in his voice softened on the word father. It lasted a second, then his gaze sharpened again. "The second part," he said, "is an offer." Here it was. Jack's fingers curled against his knees. He could feel the pull of the bandage when his forearm flexed. "I am retired," he said. "You saw the knee. I am not in your game anymore." "I do not need you to be in my game," the Admiral said. "I need you to be who you were in that parking lot. A man who can move, assess, make decisions under pressure. A man Vargas now knows exists." "I do not see that as a selling point," Jack said. Admiral Whitaker leaned forward slightly, forearms on his thighs. NCIS and the FBI have been working Vargas for 2 years, he said. We have files. We have financials. We have circumstantial evidence. What we do not have is someone on the inside of his day-to-day operations who can pass for the kind of man he hires. Most of our people are federal agents. They stand out. You do not. Jack laughed once without humor. Ex-soldier on disability who lives paycheck to paycheck, he said. That is the profile you need. Exactly, the Admiral said. He recruits people like you, former military who do not have many options and do not ask many questions. You already made contact last night whether you wanted to or not. He will look into you. In his position, I would. Jack stared at the floor for a moment, following a crack in the wood with his eyes. So, you want me to go to work for him, he said. Pretend to be dirty, feed you information. You would not be working for him, the Admiral said. You would be working with us. Contract status. 6 months. You help us map his network, identify his people, gather evidence that will hold up in court. In return, you get paid very well for your time, and we make sure your daughter is protected. The word daughter hung in the air. As if on cue, Lily appeared again at the edge of the hallway, cereal bowl, empty fox plush under her arm. Dad, we are out of milk, she said. She stopped when she saw the look on his face. The Admiral got to his feet. We should let you talk this over, he said. He reached into his uniform jacket and pulled out a card. Here is my direct number. If you are interested, call me. If you are not interested, call me anyway. I would like to know which it is. He set the card on the coffee table, gave Lily a nod, and moved toward the door. Thank you again, Claire said to Jack, for last night, for not pretending you did not hear. Jack looked at her for a long second. You would have done the same for someone else, he said. Maybe, she said. Maybe not. I am glad you did not make me find out. Then they were gone, the screen door creaking closed behind them. The house was quiet again, except for the faint hum of the fridge and the soft glug of the coffee maker. Lily came to stand next to him. Is he a general? She asked. Sort of, Jack said. Does that mean you are in trouble? Not yet, he said. She frowned. You look like when you are doing hard math. He managed a smile. Go brush your teeth, he said. We still have to get you to school. She studied him a moment longer, then obeyed. After he dropped her off, after he watched her small backpack disappear into the stream of kids, after he sat in the truck for an extra 5 minutes, staring at nothing, his phone rang. Unknown number. He considered letting it go, then he answered. Rourke, he said. Mr. Rourke, a woman's voice said. This is Special Agent Elena Cruz with the Naval Criminal Investigative Service. We would like to debrief you further about yesterday's incident. Can you come to Naval Station Norfolk this afternoon? He rubbed his forehead. I already gave a statement to the detectives, he said. This is separate, she said. We will explain when you arrive. He almost said no. Then he thought of the Admiral's eyes and Claire's bruise, and the men in the parking lot. Text me the address, he said. The base felt both familiar and foreign. The security gate, the rows of buildings, the sight of uniforms everywhere, the smell of jet fuel and coffee. Elena Cruz met him at a glass door. She was in her late 30s, dark hair, pulled-back suit that fit like she actually chose it herself. Her eyes were sharp and missed nothing. Mr. Rourke, she said, offering a hand. Thank you for coming. She led him through a maze of hallways to a small conference room. Another man waited there, broad-shouldered in an off-the-rack suit, close-cropped hair, a face that looked like it had seen too many early mornings and not enough days off. This is Special Agent Derek Cole with the FBI, Elena said. Please sit. There was a folder on the table. Jack's name was on the tab. Elena opened it. We know who the 3 men in the van are, she said. Daryl Knox, Luis Ortega, and Jerome Harris. All 3 have prior records. Assault, narcotics, weapons, possession. All 3 have documented ties to Miguel Vargas. Jack sat quietly, hands clasped loosely on the table. They are in custody, he said. At least there is that. Elena and Derek exchanged a look. That is why we wanted to speak to you, Derek said. They were in custody. They were booked last night, held on kidnapping and aggravated assault charges. This morning a lawyer walked in with a briefcase full of money and posted bail for all 3. Jack stared. They walked, he said. They walked, Elena said. Judge set bail at $500,000 each. It did not slow this lawyer down. Within 2 hours they had all 3 out the door. What about ankle monitors, Jack asked. Travel restrictions? They cut the monitors off within 3 hours of release, Derek said. 2 were found in a dumpster behind a strip mall, 1 in a storm drain. They have not reported to parole. Their phones are off. They are gone. A low buzzing started in Jack's ears. He pressed his tongue to the roof of his mouth, a trick from another life, to steady himself. So they are out there, he said, and they know my face. They know more than that, Elena said. They know your truck, your license plate, your general area. They had time in that parking lot to see you leave. Jack thought of the drive home, every car behind him, every set of headlights. He thought of Lily's bedroom window facing the street, the glow of the porch light. We already have a patrol car doing extra passes on your block, Elena said. Plain clothes too. But we needed you to understand the situation. Vargas protects his people. They failed in a high-profile way. He will be looking for someone to blame. Blame me, Jack said. It was my fist that put them on the ground. Men like Vargas do not always hit the person who swung first, Derek said. Sometimes they hit the person that person loves and let him watch. Jack's jaw worked. So, what he said. Witness protection? Pack up my kid and pretend we never lived here. Elena shook her head. Not yet, she said. Right now, we are increasing visible security around you and Lily. We are hoping to send a message that you are not an easy target. At the same time, we are building our case. The Admiral may have approached you with an offer. He thinks you could be important to this. Jack did not respond. Derek closed the folder. Mr. Rourke, I am not going to sugarcoat this, he said. You inserted yourself into a very ugly situation last night. You saved someone who was never supposed to walk away from that van. That makes you a target. I had my kid with me, Jack said. Leaving that woman was not an option. I am not saying it should have been, Derek said. I am saying the board shifted whether you like it or not. Elena slid a card across the table. This has my cell on it, she said. If you see anything off, anyone hanging around your house, anyone at Lily's school who should not be there, you call, day or night. Jack took the card. When he stepped back out into the daylight an hour later, the bass seemed louder. Jets screamed somewhere overhead. A forklift beeped as it backed up. He sat in his truck and stared through the windshield. The phone on the seat beside him buzzed. Unknown number. His stomach tightened. He picked it up, thumb hovering, then answered. Rourke. Mr. Rourke, a man said. The voice was smooth, pleasant, with the faintest trace of an accent that softened the consonants. I hoped you would pick up. Who is this? Jack asked. Let us say I am an interested party, the man said. You had an interesting evening yesterday. Harbor Mart. 3 of my employees, one of my favorite vans. It was quite a scene. Jack's grip on the phone tightened. You are Vargas, he said. The man chuckled softly. I am glad we can skip the introduction, he said. I prefer honest conversations. Jack glanced instinctively at the rearview mirror, at the cars moving through the lot. What do you want? He asked. I want to understand you, Vargas said. You are a decorated veteran on a small disability check. You live in a modest house with a 7-year-old girl. You do some security work that does not even cover your medical bills. And yet when you had a chance to mind your own business, you chose to get involved. That is interesting to me. A cold line slid down Jack's spine. You have been busy, he said. I like to know who I am talking to, Vargas said. For example, I know your daughter's name is Lily. I know she goes to Bayview Elementary. I know she likes foxes and is afraid of the dark, although your porch light seems to help with that. Jack went very still. If you or any of your people go near her, he said, I will. Vargas cut him off, voice still light. Please. Threats are so tedious on the phone, he said. I am not calling to start a war. I am calling because you cost me something yesterday. 3 men in custody, a disrupted operation, unwanted attention. But I am a reasonable man. I am willing to let that go. That is generous, Jack said flatly. In fact, Vargas went on, I would like to make you an offer. You have skills I can use. You have motivations I understand. You want to provide for your daughter. I could help with that. Good money, good schools, a safer neighborhood than the one you are in. Jack stared through the windshield without really seeing the base anymore. You are trying to hire me, he said. I am giving you options, Vargas said. Stay on the path you are on. Work odd jobs, struggle, hope. No one who holds a grudge ever finds your front yard. Or work for me and make sure Lily never has to be afraid of the dark again. At least not for the same reasons. Jack could hear his own breath in his ear. I am hanging up now, he said. Of course, Vargas said. Before you do, though, I want you to remember something. Accidents happen, children get lost, people fail to notice things until it is too late. That would be very sad in your case, Mr. Rourke. You strike me as a man who would never forgive himself. The line clicked. Jack sat there with the dead phone at his ear, his hand shaking for the first time since the parking lot. He did not remember driving home. One moment he was in the base parking lot with the phone cooling in his hand. The next, he was sitting at his kitchen table, elbows on the cheap wood, staring at a water ring from a glass he could not remember using. The house was quiet. Lily was still at school. The clock over the stove said he had 40 minutes before he had to leave to get her. The porch light was off. It was broad daylight sun falling in through the blinds in sharp white lines. Still, he found himself looking toward the front door, as if he expected to see shadows under it. He picked up the Admiral's card from where he had left it on the table. The print was clean and simple. Name, rank, a direct number. He turned it over between his fingers. Vargas's voice replayed in his head. Accidents happen. Children get lost. Jack closed his eyes for a second. He saw Lily on the school playground, hair flying as she ran, not looking over her shoulder, because she trusted that the world behind her was safe enough. He opened his eyes and dialed the number. Whitaker, the Admiral said. It is Rourke, Jack said. There was a brief pause, like the Admiral had been expecting the call, but not quite this soon. I assume you have spoken with someone you should not have, the Admiral said. Vargas called me, Jack said. He knows my name. He knows my daughter's name, her school, my house. He offered me a job, called it an option. Then you are on his radar already, the Admiral said. That makes our conversation even more relevant. Jack stared at the grain of the table. I will do it, he said. The contract you mentioned, 6 months. Good, the Admiral said. There will be paperwork, of course, and conditions, on both sides. I have mine, Jack said. Lily gets round-the-clock protection. People who know what they are doing, not some rent-a-cop in a polo shirt. Agreed, the Admiral said. If something happens to me, you make sure she is taken care of, Jack said. Financially, school, whatever she needs. I do not want her paying for this for the rest of her life. You have my word, the Admiral said. I want it in writing, Jack said. There was a short silence. Then the Admiral actually sounded faintly amused. You will have it in writing, he said. Anything else? This stays off the record, Jack said. No official involvement. If it goes sideways, I do not want my name in some headline making me look like I was dirty. I did enough odd things overseas. I do not want my daughter wondering which side I was on when she is old enough to Google it. The Admiral exhaled. You are protecting the institution, he said. I am protecting her, Jack said. Another beat. When the Admiral spoke again, his voice was all business. Report to Naval Station Norfolk tomorrow at 0700, he said. NCIS and FBI will handle your onboarding. We will start bringing you into what we know. The line went quiet. Jack sat there for a long time with the dead phone in his hand, listening to the faint tick of the kitchen clock. Later in the pickup lane at Bayview Elementary, he watched Lily burst through the school doors with a group of kids backpack bouncing. 2 plain sedans were parked along the curb, drivers sitting too straight to be parents. He recognized the posture, the watches, the way their eyes tracked everything. The protection detail. At least the Admiral had moved fast. Lily climbed into the truck smelling like crayons and sunscreen. How was your day, Jack asked. We did a science thing, she said, about shadows. Mine is longer than Emily's, and Mr. Court said that is because I am taller. Emily said it is because I am a monster. Are you a monster, he asked. No, she said, but I can roar like a lion. She demonstrated. The sound filled the cab. He smiled and let it wash over him. On the way home, she chattered about spelling tests and a boy who had eaten glue. Jack watched the rearview mirror more than usual. That night, after she was asleep, he sat on the porch step underneath the light. The bulb cast a circle on the cracked concrete and the first 2 planks of the wooden step. Beyond that, the yard was dark. He could not see anyone out there. He knew that did not mean no one was watching. The next morning, Jack woke before dawn, dressed in clean jeans and a plain gray t-shirt, and drove to the base. He dropped Lily at Marcus Lee's small house 5 blocks away. Marcus stood in the doorway in a faded hoodie, hair shoved back, coffee mug in hand. You look like you are going to court, Marcus said. Something like that, Jack said. Lily hugged him, fingers digging into his side. Are you doing security stuff today, she asked. Something like that, he said. Be careful, she said. She did not say why. She did not have to. Naval Station Norfolk looked different in the morning light. The air smelled sharper, like jet fuel and damp concrete. Sailors moved in purposeful streams. Jack found the NCIS office and checked in at the front desk. Elena met him in the hallway. You look thrilled to be here, she said. Thrilled is not the word, Jack said. She led him to a conference room, where Admiral Whitaker and Derek Cole were already waiting. Admiral Whitaker wore utilities instead of dress blues today. Cole looked like he had slept in his suit. On the table was a stack of paperwork thick enough to make Jack's head ache just looking at it. Contracts, waivers, confidentiality agreements. He signed where they told him reading enough to be sure the pieces that mattered to him were there. Lily's protection, the off-the-record clause, the money. When it was done, Elena closed the last folder and slid it aside. "All right," she said, "now we can talk." The next hours were a blur of briefings. Maps of shipping lanes, names of shell companies, photos of men with bland faces and cold eyes. Financial charts that showed money moving in circles tight enough to choke someone. Miguel Vargas appeared on the screen more than once. Different angles, different years. In all of them, he had the same easy smile. "He keeps his hands clean," Derek said. "Uses intermediaries, layers his business. He has never been present at a confirmed handoff of a victim. Never touched the merchandise as far as we can prove. That is why he is still breathing free air." And Claire Jack asked one. DS-20. Admiral Whitaker's jaw flexed. "Her role in this is compartmentalized," he said. "What you need to know is that she has access to intelligence and contacts that can support what you will be doing. She will not be joining you in the field." Jack watched the Admiral as he said it. The man believed what he was saying. Jack wondered if Claire would agree. Later, in a different room that smelled like burned coffee, Jack met the tech team. A lean man with glasses and a buzz cut introduced himself as Mike Hahn. He laid out a collection of objects on the table. A simple black belt, a metal watch, a button. "Tracker," he said, tapping the buckle. "Camera, microphone. We will not wire you every time. Only when there is a chance of a sit-down meeting with Vargas or one of his senior people. Any obvious pat down and you ditch the gear. Your life is more important than the recording." Jack picked up the watch. It was heavier than it looked. "What is the range?" he asked. "About a mile line of sight," Mike said. "Longer if there is no interference. We will have a van in the area on active ops." The training felt strangely familiar. "Move here. Say this. Do not say that. Think about your line of sight. Think about your exits." Only now the targets were men in suits and shipping offices instead of compounds and caves. By mid-afternoon, his head throbbed. He found a moment alone at a vending machine, staring at rows of chips and candy bars behind glass, not really seeing them. Claire's reflection appeared faintly in the glass beside his. "You look like someone told you there is a surprise quiz," she said. He turned. She stood in the hallway, her blouse rolled to the elbows, hair pulled back. The bruise on her jaw had darkened to a deep purple. "You should not sneak up on people," he said. "You are in a secure hallway inside a federal facility," she said. "If I can sneak up on you here, we have bigger problems." She paused, studying his face. "My father roped you in," she said. "I called him," Jack said. That surprised her. "Why?" she asked. "Because your friend Vargas called me first," Jack said. "He knows where I live. He knows about Lily." Sitting on my hands stopped being an option. Claire's expression shifted, some of the soldier replacing the daughter. "He reached out this fast," she said. "We thought he might, but still." She blew out a breath. "I am sorry," she said. "If I had not been at that store, if I had not been on that case, he would not even know your name." Jack shook his head. "Do not start that," he said. "I was the one who walked over there. I knew what I was doing." "You had your kid with you," she said. "You did the right thing. That does not mean you do not get to be angry." He leaned one shoulder against the wall. The vending machine hummed. "You are not going to be out there with me," he said. "That is the plan," she said. Her tone made it clear what she thought of that plan. "You are the target," he said. "If you show up in the middle of one of his operations again, there will not be enough ambulances in this city." Her jaw tightened. "I have been under before," she said. "I know how to handle myself." "Not like this," he said. "You do not know what I have done," she said quietly. He looked at her. There was something in her eyes he had not seen before, a weight. He thought of undercover work he had heard about, the lines people crossed for an op. "You are right," he said. "I do not. What I do know is that if you come into a meet with me, you will divide my attention. I will be watching you, and whoever is holding the gun. That is how people die." They stared at each other for a moment. Somewhere down the hall, a phone rang. She looked away first. "You really are a joy to argue with," she said. There was no heat in it. Elena said something similar, he said. A corner of her mouth twitched. "My father is not used to people saying no to him," she said. "You may be his new favorite." "I doubt that," Jack said. She started to turn away, then paused. "How is Lily?" she asked. "She thinks I am doing security stuff," he said. "Well, Claire said you are." That night, Jack took Lily to Marcus's house again. The plan was for her to spend a few nights there, while the team figured out patterns and schedules. Marcus had a better security setup than Jack's little blue house. They pulled into the driveway. The porch light at Marcus's place glowed over 2 cheap chairs and a potted plant that had not survived the summer. Marcus opened the door. "Pizza is here," he said. "They forgot the breadsticks, so we live with disappointment." Lily brushed past him into the house. There was another car at the curb. a dark sedan clean with plates that were not quite government and not quite civilian. Claire stood in the living room when Jack stepped inside. She wore jeans and a soft sweater, hair down for the first time he had seen. She held a paper bag that crinkled when she shifted it. "I brought some things for Lily," she said. "Books, a couple of games." She should not feel like she is hiding in a safe house. At least not all the time. The bag turned out to hold enough toys and art supplies to stock a small classroom. Lily's eyes went wide. "All this is for me?" she asked. "If you want it," Claire said. "Dad, look," Lily said, holding up a box of markers with at least 100 shades. "There is one called Sea Foam. That is such a good name." Jack looked at Claire. "You did not have to do that," he said. "I know," she said. "It is a lot," he said. "She is going to be stuck here," Claire said. "The least I can do is make it less boring." Marcus cleared his throat. "I will check on the pizza," he said, retreating to the kitchen, with a look at Jack that said he was leaving him alone on purpose. Lily dragged Claire toward the couch, already asking her to read the back of a book out loud. Claire let herself be pulled, sitting cross-legged on the old cushions, laughing at something Lily said. Jack stepped out onto the porch for a second to breathe. The light over Marcus's door hummed quietly. It was the same manufacturer as his own porch light, probably, but in this yard it felt different, casting a pool of warmth over unfamiliar concrete. Marcus joined him after a minute, leaning on the railing. "You know she did not have to come," Marcus said. "The lieutenant. She could have stayed in whatever nice house she lives in. I told her she did not need to bring all that," Jack said. "Yeah, I heard," Marcus said. "You sounded real welcoming." Jack rubbed his hand over his face. "I do not like Lily being part of this," he said. "She is part of your life," Marcus said. "This came to your life. That is how that works." Inside, Lily's laugh bubbled through the open window. Jack looked back and saw her showing Claire how to draw a fox. In the morning, Jack woke early again and drove to the industrial edge of Norfolk. Atlantic Coastal Freight sat near the water, a sprawl of concrete and corrugated metal. Trucks lined up at the loading docks. Forklifts beeped as they moved pallets. He parked where they had told him to park and walked in like he belonged. Inside the main office, a man in his 40s with a gold watch and too much cologne looked up from behind a desk. His nameplate read, "Anthony Vega." "You Rourke?" he asked. "That is me," Jack said. "Tony," the man said, coming around the desk to shake his hand. His grip was firm, but his eyes were busy sliding over Jack's clothes, his posture, everything. "I hear you do security," Tony said. "Consulting," Jack said. "Assessments. You said on the phone you might want someone to look at your setup." Tony gestured toward the window. It looked out over the yard. Cameras were visible on the corners of the building, little black domes blinking red. "We already have a system," Tony said. "Cameras, guards, gates. What can you tell me that I do not already know?" Jack let his gaze move over the yard. The angle of the cameras, the blind spots between the buildings, the way the fence bent near the water line. "I can tell you that your gate cameras would not catch someone cutting through the fence by the drainage culvert over there," he said, "and that your guards are smoking more than they are watching. I counted 2 without radios, 1 with his vest open." Tony's jaw tightened. "You walk in here and insult my people," he said. "You asked what I could tell you, that you do not already know," Jack said. Tony studied him for a moment, then laughed once. "Fair enough," he said. "You think you could get in here?" "If I wanted to," Jack said. 10 minutes, maybe less." "How?" Tony asked. Jack met his eyes. "You pay me and I will show you," he said. "First walk through is free. After that, my time costs." Tony looked at him for a long moment. Then he pulled his phone from his pocket and stepped to the side, speaking in low Spanish that Jack caught pieces of but did not chase. Boss, ex-military, knows his stuff. Jack stood still, letting his body stay loose, his face neutral. He could feel the weight of the belt at his waist, the tracker sewn into it, the faint pressure of the watch on his wrist. Tony ended the call and put the phone away. "My employer would like to meet you," he said. "You come back tomorrow. Same time, we will see what you can do." Jack nodded once. "I will be here," he said. When Jack came back to Atlantic Coastal Freight the next day, the air over the yard tasted like salt and diesel. Trucks idled along the fence line. A crane moved containers in slow arcs against the gray sky. Tony Vega met him at the security door, a plastic badge already clipped in his hand. "Boss is in," Tony said. "You get the special tour." He clipped the visitor badge to Jack's shirt and led him through a hallway that smelled faintly of cleaning fluid and coffee that had been left on a burner too long. They passed an open door where 3 men hunched over monitors. One screen showed the camera feeds from the yard. "Smile," Tony said. "You are already on candid camera." They reached a stairwell and climbed. Jack's knee complained at the angle. He kept his face neutral and his breath steady. At the end of the hall on the second floor, Tony opened a glass door with a keycard and stepped aside. "Mr. Rourke," a voice said, "come in." Miguel Vargas stood by a wall of windows that overlooked the loading docks and the water beyond. He wore a white dress shirt with the sleeves rolled to his elbows, dark slacks, no tie. His hair was black with a single streak of silver at one temple. On the wall behind him hung a large painting of a rocky coastline. At night, waves smashing against stone as a lighthouse threw out a cone of light. Vargas crossed the room with the ease of someone greeting a guest in his living room. He offered his hand. Jack shook it. The grip was firm, warm, without the extra pressure some men use to signal dominance. "Thank you for coming," Vargas said. "I am glad we could meet in person. Phones are so flat." Tony closed the door behind him and took a place near a filing cabinet, half in shadow, watching. Vargas gestured toward a leather chair. "Please," he said, "sit." Jack took the seat, angling himself so he could see the door and the windows. Vargas perched on the edge of his desk, rather than sitting behind it, closing the distance. "I like to know the people I might do business with," he said. "So, I did a little reading. Navy SEAL, multiple deployments, medically retired 3 years ago after a training injury. Single father." He said it without looking at a file. The information sat in his voice like something he had already memorized, then set aside. "You made quite an impression at Harbor Mart," Vargas continued. "There are at least 12 videos of you taking down 3 of my employees from slightly different angles. The internet loves a hero." Jack kept his face still. "I did what anyone would have done," he said. Again, no, Vargas said. "Most people pretend they did not see. That is what makes the world work the way it does. You chose differently." He picked up something from the desk and rolled it between his fingers. It was a coin, silver. It flashed in the light from the windows as it turned. "On the phone I suggested we might be useful to each other," he said. "I meant it." Jack watched the coin. "You sell people," Jack said. "That is what you do." Vargas smiled, small and polite. "I move things," he said. "Containers, cargo, assets. The world is full of people who want what they cannot have by legal means. I facilitate. I am not here to convince you of my morality, Mr. Rourke. I am here to talk about opportunity." He let the coin fall into his palm and closed his hand around it. "You need money," he said. "Hospitals are expensive. Mortgage payments do not care about your service record. Your daughter deserves good schools and vacations, where the biggest danger is a sunburn. That costs. I can provide that." "You think you can just buy me," Jack said. "Everyone is bought," Vargas said lightly. "Some with cash, some with cause, some with fear. I prefer cash. It keeps things honest." He tilted his head. "What did the Admiral offer?" he asked. Jack felt a flicker in his chest. "What Admiral?" he said. Vargas smiled again, this time with his eyes. "You went to the base yesterday," he said. "There are only so many reasons a retired operator walks into NCIS after an incident like Harbor Mart. Either you wanted to report me, in which case we would not be having this conversation, or they wanted to recruit you. My bet is on the second." Jack kept his breathing even. "We talked," he said. "I said no." "Did you?" Vargas asked. "Interesting." He set the coin down on the desk, carefully aligning it with the edge of a legal pad. "Here is what I am offering," he said. "A small job. You escort one of my shipments from this facility to a private airfield an hour south. You ride along, make sure the drivers do not do anything stupid. That is it. For 2 hours of your time, you walk away with $5,000 in cash." "What is in the shipment?" Jack asked. "The kind of cargo that would make certain government agencies twist themselves into knots if they saw it," Vargas said. "Which is why we will keep the doors closed and you will not ask questions." Jack let quiet sit between them for a moment. "What if something happens on the road?" he asked. "That is why you are there," Vargas said. "You see trouble, you deal with it. You are very good at dealing with trouble." His eyes flicked to Jack's bandaged forearm. "Last night proved that. And if I say no," Jack said, "then what?" Vargas shrugged, spreading his hands. "Then we go our separate ways," he said. "I keep an eye on you, of course. I like to know where potential threats are, but I am not a petty man. I do not enjoy making orphans." The last word landed like a small stone. In the van tucked down the block, 4 people listened to the conversation in real time through a speaker. "I want to punch his teeth out through the audio," Derek muttered. "Stay professional," Elena said. She sat beside him, headphones around her neck, hand tapping a pen against her knee. Admiral Whitaker stood near the back doors, arms folded, eyes on the waveform dancing on the laptop screen. Claire paced in the narrow space, arms wrapped around herself, her jaw tight. On the recording, Vargas said, "I am asking you to prove that you are a practical man, a father. Help me with this one thing and we both get what we want." "Can we cut in?" Claire asked. "Can we just pick him up and end this?" "No," the Admiral said. We do not have enough. Not yet. A vague audio of him hinting about cargo will not convince a jury. We need visuals. We need victims recovered. We need numbers. And you need Jack to go along, Claire said. We need someone there when that truck door opens, Elena said. Someone who is not on Vargas's payroll. Back in the office, Jack looked at Vargas. You already called me, he said. You already dangled money and threats. Why offer now like you are doing me a favor? Perception matters, Vargas said. I prefer my people to feel they chose me, not that I cornered them. It makes for better loyalty. He glanced at his watch. The convoys run tonight, he said. If you are interested, be here at 11. If you are not, stay home. Hug your daughter. Try to sleep. He picked up the coin again and flicked it with his thumb. It spun across the desk, wobbled, then came to rest with the eagle side up. I think you will come, Vargas said. Tony walked Jack back out. In the yard, forklifts still moved pallets. A gull wheeled overhead, crying. Jack did not remember what he said until he was in the van with the others, again headset off the air, tasting like tin. You cannot let him go, Claire said as soon as the line went dead. You heard him. He is moving people tonight. Elena rubbed her eyes. We are not letting him go, she said. We are riding his bumper. If there are victims in that truck, we will be there. If there are not, we do not blow the case on one empty shipment. She looked at Jack. It is your call, she said. We are not ordering you to do this run. If you do, we will have every asset we can spare on Overwatch. If you do not, we regroup and find another way. Jack stared at the floor of the van. The metal was scuffed and stained. There was a bolt near his boot where the paint had rubbed off. He thought of Lily playing with markers in Marcus's living room. He thought of the way her hand had felt small and hot in his when she watched him get stitched on the ambulance. He thought of the 3 girls he had imagined in the back of that van at Harbor Mart. The ones who would not get a second chance if no one stepped in. If there is someone in that truck, he said, I need to be there when the door opens. In his peripheral vision, he saw Claire close her eyes. Then we plan around that, the Admiral said. The rest of the day was logistics. In a conference room with no windows, they spread maps across the table, one tracing the route from Norfolk to a small airfield near the state line, another showing back roads and choke points. Little colored pins marked where FBI teams could wait out of sight. We keep local police out of it, Derek said. At least for now. Too many unknowns in small jurisdictions. Last thing we need is some deputy pulling the convoy over for a broken taillight and getting himself killed. We follow at a distance, Elena said. We do not provoke anything, we do not crowd them. When Jack gives the signal, or when the vans stop at the airfield, we move. What signal? Jack asked. She slid a small fob across the table. You press this 3 times in a row, she said. Belt vibrates, we see it on the map. That means you are in immediate danger, and we push. Once you hit it, do not expect us to be subtle. In the hallway afterward, as Jack checked the fit of the belt and the watch, Claire intercepted him. You do not have to do this, she said. That is what everyone keeps saying, Jack said. Then they tell me why I kind of do. Her eyes flashed. I am not your handler, she said. I am not your boss. I am telling you as someone who has seen the inside of his operation. He does not play fair. If he suspects you, he will not hesitate. There is no line he will not cross. I know, Jack said. You have a kid, she said. You are not expendable. He looked at her. There are other people's kids in his pipeline, he said. I am not saying yes because I am brave. I am saying yes because I will see their faces every time I close my eyes if I do not. Some of the fight went out of her shoulders. Then do something for me, she said. What he asked. Come back, she said. He held her gaze. I will try, he said. Night came dripping and slow. A weather front rolled in off the water, dragging low clouds over the city. By the time Jack pulled into the Atlantic Coastal Freight Yard again, a light rain had started beating on the windshield and blurring the security lights. He could feel the wired watch on his wrist, the belt snug around his waist, the small fob in his pocket. Overhead, somewhere beyond the clouds, a surveillance plane watched. On the ground, an unmarked van sat 2 blocks away, engine-off antennas dark against the sky. Tony stood under an awning smoking. He flicked the cigarette away when he saw Jack and ground it under his heel. You came, Tony said. You sounded disappointed, Jack said. Tony snorted. Come on, he said. We are on the clock. He led Jack between rows of parked trailers. Near the back fence, 2 white panel vans idled. Men moved around them, checking tires, doors, locks. You are in number 2, Tony said, clapping a hand on the nearer van. You ride shotgun. Do not argue with the driver. Do not touch the cargo. This is simple. Do not make it complicated. Jack walked to the passenger door and looked through the window. The man behind the wheel turned his head. For a heartbeat, they just stared at each other. It was Jerome Harris, Rome, short beard, heavy shoulders, the same eyes Jack had watched roll back when he had driven a knee into his chest in the Harbor Mart lot. "Well, look at this," Rome said, grinning. "World really is small." He reached over and popped the lock. "You getting in, hero?" he asked. "Or you just gonna stand out there and get wet?" Jack got in. The van smelled like old fast food grease and a faint tang of oil. Rain pattered on the metal roof. Rome put the van in gear. "Boss must like you," he said. "First week on the job and you already get night runs? Most guys have to work up to this." Jack buckled his seatbelt. "I guess I made an impression," he said. Rome laughed. "Yeah," he said, "on my ribs." He tapped his chest with the heel of his hand. "Cracked one of these when you dropped on me," Rome said. "I owe you for that." His tone was light, but there was something under it. Not quite hate. Not forgiveness either. "You pulled a woman into a van," Jack said. "You were trying to take her somewhere she did not choose to go. You picked the wrong job." Rome shrugged. "I picked the jobs that pay," he said. "Like you are doing right now, right?" The first van pulled out through the open gate. Rome followed at a 2-car length distance as Tony had told them. Rain streaked the windshield. Jack watched the yard recede, the security lights shrinking to small yellow dots, then disappearing in the dark. He could feel more than see the other vehicles around them. Somewhere behind at what they would insist was a safe distance, the FBI van settled in. Somewhere ahead on an overpass, an unmarked car waited to fall in. "Ever flown out of Willow Creek Airfield?" Rome asked, eyes on the road. "No," Jack said. "You will like it," Rome said. "Quiet, no TSA, no lines, in and out." He drummed his fingers on the steering wheel in a rhythm that did not match the wipers. Jack watched the rhythm of the road instead. Mile markers flashed by. The city lights fell away, replaced by long stretches of dark trees and the occasional lonely gas station. He thought about the metal walls behind him, about the space inside the van's cargo compartment. How many bodies could fit if they were bound and stacked? How long you known Vargas Jack asked more to fill the air than because he wanted to? "Long enough to know he keeps his promises," Rome said. "He says he pays, he pays. He says he will take care of you, he does. He says he will make someone disappear, they disappear. That is more than I can say for Uncle Sam." Jack let that sit. Up ahead, the taillights of the first van were small red points in the mist. Then they grew as the van slowed. "They are taking the exit already?" Jack asked. Rome frowned. "That is not the route Tony gave us," he said. The first van's blinker flashed once, and it veered onto a narrow 2-lane road that cut off the highway. Trees pressed close on either side, branches reaching over the asphalt like fingers. Rome hesitated at the fork. Then he followed. The road felt tighter, the darkness thicker. The rain fell harder now, drumming on the roof. The headlights carved tunneling beams through the wet air. A mile passed, another, then 3 sets of headlights appeared ahead, spread across the road. An SUV in the center, one on each shoulder, all 3 stationary. "What is this?" Rome muttered. The first van braked hard. Its brake lights flared bright red in the rain. Its tires squealed on the wet pavement. Rome swore and slammed his own foot on the brake. The van lurched, momentum pushing them forward toward the glowing red rectangles. Jack grabbed the dash with his good hand. The tires hit a slick patch. The van started to slide. The van did not stop so much as it slid. The tires screamed on wet asphalt. The first van fishtailed ahead of them, its brake lights a smear of red in the rain. Rome swore and yanked the wheel. Jack braced his feet and grabbed the dashboard. They hit the guardrail with a grinding crash. Metal shrieked. The world tilted. Jack's shoulder slammed into the door. His bad knee twisted under the dash pane, flaring white-hot up his leg. Then it was over. The van shuddered and went still at an angle, one front wheel up on the twisted rail. Rome sagged against his seatbelt, dazed. Blood welled from a cut in his forehead and ran down into his beard. Jack blinked hard. The airbag had not deployed. His ears rang. The taste of copper filled his mouth. Outside, through the streaked windshield, he saw the 3 SUVs that had blocked the road. Their doors opened in near-perfect unison. Men climbed out, weapons in hand. Rifles caught the light when lightning flashed far off. "They are early," Rome muttered, voice thick. Jack looked at him. "You expecting them?" he asked. Rome shook his head, then winced. "Not like this," he said. "This is not how we pull into Willow Creek." The first van sat skewed in the road ahead of them. Its doors were closed. No one stepped out. On Jack's hip, the belt buzzed once, a reminder. He jammed his thumb into the fob in his pocket. 3 sharp presses. The little device clicked each time. In the van 2 miles back, Elena saw the alert on the tablet and swore. "He hit the button," she said. "They have stopped. New little road. That is not the route we planned." She tapped the map, zooming in. That is a choke point, Derek said. Trees on both sides. One way in, no easy way out. Of course. Units are 6 minutes out, the driver called from the front. We do not have 6 minutes, Claire said. She had one hand pressed to the steel shelf to steady herself. Rain drummed on the roof of the surveillance van. On the dash feed, they could hear the faint noise of the crash through Jack's mic. A distant thud, the slight intake of breath that could be pain. Back on the road, Jack shook his head to clear it. He unclicked his seatbelt. His shoulder twinged. His knee felt wrong, loose, hot. Rome fumbled at his own belt. Stay down, Jack said. He reached for the glove box, hoping for a gun. Rome slapped his hand away, then winced again. Under the seat, Rome said. Use it, do not lose it. Jack reached under the driver's seat. His fingers closed around the cold weight of a pistol. He pulled it out. Standard 9mm, full magazine. Anyone comes to the window, they are not here to check your insurance, Rome said. Jack cracked the passenger door and slid out into the rain. The night smelled like wet leaves and hot engine. Water soaked through his shirt in seconds. The road was slick under his boots. He stayed low, using the open door as cover. From this angle, he could see down the side of the van. The men from the SUVs spread out in a loose half circle. He counted 5. All had rifles held high and tight, moving with practiced ease. These were not local kids with stolen guns. None of them wore uniforms, dark jackets, ball caps. One had a scarf up over his lower face. They did not shout commands. They did not order anyone out of the vans. They moved toward the vehicles with the steady calm of men who knew exactly what they were here to do. Jack ducked back inside the van for a second and looked toward the rear doors. If there was anyone in the back, they were trapped. If these men were not Vargas's, they might be here for the same cargo. Rival crews did not usually bring welcome baskets. He slid toward the back between the seats, his knee sending sparks of pain up his leg. At the rear, he tried the handle, locked. He glanced toward the front. Rome was still slumped behind the wheel, head down. There was a smear of blood on the steering wheel. Jack holstered the pistol in the small of his back for a second and grabbed a length of twisted metal from where the dash had crumpled. He limped to the rear doors, braced himself, and slammed the metal bar into the lock. On the second hit, the latch gave. The door swung inward. The smell hit him first, sweat and chemical sweetness under the metallic tang of old oil. Inside, 3 figures lay on the floor of the van, wedged in with blankets and duffel bags. 3 young women, late teens, early 20s, wrists zip-tied in front of them, ankles bound, cloth straps dug into their cheeks where gags had been tied. 2 lay limp, eyes closed, faces slack. The third was half-conscious, eyes rolling, fingers twitching weakly. Rain blew in, spotting their clothes. They wore jeans and cheap t-shirts. One had a bracelet with little plastic beads that spelled a name. Hey, Jack said softly. You are okay. I have you. Her eyes tried to focus on him and did not quite succeed. Gunfire cracked out front, not far. A series of short bursts, then a pause, then more. He did not have time to be gentle. He slid his arms under the nearest girl's shoulders and dragged her out of the van, past the door to the shadow of the twisted guardrail. The road dipped there. It was not much cover, but it was something. He laid her down, turned back, grabbed the second, then the third. By the third, his knee was screaming. He gritted his teeth and kept moving. Another bullet smacked into the side of the van above his head, sending a spray of white paint and metal flecks down on him. He dropped beside the 3 women, breath harsh in the rain, and pulled the pistol from the small of his back. Stay low, he said, knowing they could barely hear him. He rolled onto one knee and peeked around the corner of the van. One of the riflemen had made it to the front of the first van. He fired through the windshield, at the driver glass exploding outward. Another man moved along the shoulder, using the trees as partial cover, angling toward Jack's position without knowing it yet. Jack breathed out, lined up the sights, and squeezed. The first shot took the man in the chest. He staggered, eyes wide, then fell backward into the wet grass. The others reacted immediately. 2 dove for cover behind one of the SUVs. One dropped to a knee and fired toward the flash. Bullets chewed into the side of the van, shattering a side mirror. Jack pulled back behind the metal, keeping himself between the gunfire and the pile of shaking bodies at his feet. In the surveillance van, the audio feed went sharp with the sound of shots. That is not us, Derek said. We do not use that pattern. Units are 4 minutes out, the driver said. Too long, Claire said. She moved toward the door. Where are you going? Admiral Whitaker asked. To get him, she said. You are not field cleared for this, the Admiral said. She looked at him. There was a rush of rain against the van roof like applause. You sent him in, she said. You wired him. You made him the bait. I am not going to sit here and listen while some hired killers use him for target practice. You do not even have proper backup, Elena said. I have a car, Claire said. I have a rifle. I know the route. That is enough. The Admiral held her eyes. A muscle jumped in his cheek. Be smart, he said. That is asking a lot, she said, grabbing one of the rifles from the rack near the door. I will settle for fast. She was in the driver's seat before they could say anything else, engine turning over, wipers slapping the windshield clear. The tires spit water as she pulled away from the curb. Back on the road, Jack risked another quick look. One of the men from the SUVs was moving again, circling wide on the opposite side, trying to flank. The first van's door opened a crack. A hand reached out from inside and then jerked back as bullets stitched across the metal. Jack fired twice. One round hit a tire on an SUV. The vehicle dipped with a thud as rubber blew out. The men behind it cursed and adjusted. His magazine felt lighter every time he squeezed the trigger. Counting shots helped keep panic away. 9, 8, 7. He stayed as low as he could, feeling rainwater soak through his jeans, soak into his socks. His knee throbbed in time with his heartbeat. A female voice cut in over the tiny speaker in his ear. Rourke, this is Cruz, sitrep. Ambush, he said. 3 SUVs, 5 gunmen, first van disabled. We crashed. I have 3 victims behind my van, 2 unconscious, 1 barely awake. We are pinned. Units are close, she said. Stay alive. Working on it, he said. Headlights flared behind him, bright in the rain. For a split second, his heart jumped, thinking more vehicles joining the party. Then he recognized the shape of the car. The black sedan from the base, from Marcus's street. Claire's sedan. She swung it off the main road and onto the shoulder just behind the wrecked van, using the bulk of the vehicle as partial cover. The brakes squealed on the wet gravel. The car rocked to a stop. The passenger door flew open. You are supposed to be at the van, Jack shouted over the noise. You are welcome, she shouted back. She slid out with the rifle in her hands. The stock fit into the pocket of her shoulder, like she had done this many times. Rain flattened her hair against her head and soaked through her sweater. She knelt beside the car, braced her elbow on the doorframe, and sighted down the barrel. Firing a long rifle in the dark and the rain at moving targets was not easy. Doing it while your hands shook was worse. Her first shot went wide, slapping into the trunk of one of the SUVs. Sparks jumped. She sucked in a breath, squeezed her fingers tighter on the grip to still the tremor, and tried again. This shot found one of the men who had been trying to flank. It caught him in the side as he leaned out to shoot. His body twisted and fell. The crack of the rifle echoed off the trees. Jack used the distraction. He popped up and put 2 more rounds near the front tire of another SUV. It deflated with a hissing sigh. The remaining gunmen opened fire, angry now, bullets lacing through the night. 1 round punched through the trunk of Claire's sedan. Another shattered a side window. She dropped lower bits of safety glass glittering in her hair. Do you know how many forms I'm going to have to fill out for this car? She shouted. Try not to die, Jack said. Then you can yell at fleet management. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. Blue and red flashes stained the low clouds. That seemed to be the deciding factor. One of the men shouted something. The remaining gunmen began to pull back, firing in short arcs to cover their retreat. They piled into the SUVs that could still move and reversed, hard tires spinning on the wet road. Jack fired after them until his slide locked empty. One SUV jerked as a rear window spiderwebbed, but it kept going. In seconds, their taillights disappeared into the trees, swallowed by the rain. Silence fell, broken only by the hiss of the damaged tire on the disabled SUV and the slow tick of cooling engines. Jack let out a breath he had not realized he was holding. His hands were steady on the empty pistol. The 3 women behind him lay in a loose huddle, eyes closed. The conscious one had fainted at some point. Their chests rose and fell. They were alive. Claire leaned her head back against the car for a second, eyes closed, chest rising and falling fast. Her hair clung to her face. Her knuckles were white on the rifle. Are you hit? Jack asked. She looked down at herself as if checking for the first time. No, she said, just wet. Her voice sounded thin. She glanced at the rifle, then at the body of the man she had shot. He lay half in the road, half in the ditch, arms at odd angles. I have never done that before, she said. Jack watched her. You sure? He asked. I have been in rooms where people died because of my intel, she said. I have signed off on raids that went sideways, but I never pulled the trigger myself, not until now. He knew that look, the way her gaze kept drifting back to the fallen man, the way her breathing had not fully settled. You saved lives, he said. Mine, the girls, maybe the driver in that first van. You did that. She swallowed. So why do my hands not know it was the right thing, she asked. He did not have an easy answer. Sirens grew loud, then multiple sets of headlights cut through the night. Marked cruisers, a black tactical van, men and women in body armor spilled out, fanning across the scene and shouting commands that were no longer needed. Paramedics swarmed the three women, cutting zip ties, checking pupils, starting IV lines. One of them looked up at Jack's leg and swore. "Sit down." "Sit down," she said. "I am fine," he said. "You are not," she said. "Your knee is the size of a grapefruit." Now that she mentioned it, he felt it. The joint burned and throbbed. His jeans were tight around it. He let himself be guided to the back of an ambulance. Claire hovered nearby, pale in the flashing lights. "Ride with them," he said, nodding toward the women. "I will be right behind you," she said. He started to argue. The paramedic cut him off by injecting something into his arm that turned the world soft at the edges. In the emergency room, lights felt too bright. Voices blurred. They cut his jeans off. The swelling around his knee looked ugly and wrong. An X-ray machine hummed. A surgeon with tired eyes appeared at his side. "We are going to need to take you into surgery," she said. "You have torn up that knee again. Ligaments, possibly the meniscus. The scans do not look kind." "Can you fix it?" he asked. "We can stabilize it," she said. "We will know more when we are in there. You will walk. What else you can do, we will see." He thought of Lily, of walking her to school, of pacing the sidelines at her soccer games if she ever decided to play. The rest felt distant. "Do what you have to," he said. They wheeled him down a hallway that smelled like cleanser and old coffee. The last thing he saw before the anesthesia took him was a glimpse of Claire in the waiting area, arms wrapped around herself, her hair still damp, eyes tracking the gurney as it passed. Jack woke to the steady beep of a monitor and the smell of antiseptic. The ceiling above him was white tiles and a grid. His throat felt dry. His leg felt heavy and wrapped and wrong. He turned his head. Claire sat in a chair by the bed, chin lowered to her chest, asleep in a way that looked like she had fought it and lost. Someone had draped a thin hospital blanket over her shoulders. Her hair was still slightly wavy from drying on its own. There was a smear of something dark on her sleeve that might have been mud or old blood. The movement made his IV line tug. The beep on the monitor jumped. Claire's eyes snapped open. She took him in chest, rising some tension leaving her shoulders. "You made it," she said. "Debatable," he croaked. His voice sounded like it had not been used in years. She reached for the plastic cup on the tray, pressed the straw gently to his lips. He sipped. The water tasted faintly of chlorine and plastic, but it helped. "How long?" he asked. 4 hours in surgery," she said. 3 in recovery. "You have been under a while." He looked down the bed. His right leg was wrapped from mid-thigh to mid-shin in thick white bandages. A brace encased the knee, black and rigid with metal hinges. "Surgeon said you tore everything that could be torn," Claire said. She used more technical words, but that was the summary. "Can I walk?" he asked. "With time," she said. "With work. No more sprinting through parking lots. No more trying to tackle moving vehicles." That is her professional opinion. He let his head sink back into the pillow. "Lily," he asked. Sleeping, Claire said. "Marcus brought her this morning. He is in the waiting room. She crawled up here and fell asleep on the blankets about an hour ago. Nurse threatened us with rules and then pretended not to see." As if on cue, the door to the room pushed open quietly. Marcus leaned in first, then Lily slipped around him, feet in sneakers that squeaked faintly on the floor. She saw Jack's eyes open and froze for a second. Then she launched herself forward, careful at the last moment, climbing into the bed on his uninjured side. She smelled like syrup and crayons. "You are okay," she said, voice muffled against his chest. "I am here," he said, putting an arm around her shoulders. "That counts as okay." She pulled back just enough to look at his leg. "Your knee looks like a robot," she said. "Cool robot or creepy robot?" he asked. "Cool," she said immediately. "Can I sign your brace when we get home?" "If the doctor says yes," he said. Marcus stepped inside, holding a coffee that steamed in his hand. "You scared us, man," Marcus said. Again. "Sorry," Jack said. Marcus shrugged. "You keep things from getting boring," he said. He looked at Claire. "Doctor said he can go home in a couple of days," Marcus told her, "with a whole list of instructions he will pretend not to hear." "I heard them," Jack said. "You hear plenty," Marcus said. "Listening is the part that worries me." Time blurred for a while after that. Physical therapists showed up and taught him how to stand without putting weight on the knee, how to move from bed to chair, how to use crutches without falling. Every movement sent sharp reminders through his leg. The 3 women from the van became names on a board. First names only: Maria, Jess, Anna. He heard whispers of them in the hallway. Stable, under observation, family being contacted. Vargas did not appear. His name hovered unspoken over every briefing, over every hushed conversation outside Jack's door. 2 days later, Jack went home. The nurse pushed him out to the parking lot in a wheelchair. The air felt strange on his skin after the recycled hospital chill. His little blue house looked the same as always when Marcus pulled into the driveway, the hydrangea bush still struggling the porch light off in the afternoon sun. Lily raced ahead to open the front door. Inside, everything smelled like them. Laundry detergent, old coffee grounds, something sweet from the candle Lily liked to light in the evenings. Claire came by that night with a paper bag and an awkward expression, as if she was not sure where to put herself inside this small space. "I brought groceries," she said, "and something that claims to be soup." It did not fight back, Jack asked. "Too much sodium to move," she said. She put the bag on the counter and started unpacking it. Fresh fruit, bread, canned soup, a rotisserie chicken that sent warm scent into the room. "You did not have to do that," Jack said from his spot on the couch. "I know," she said, "but you should not be eating cereal for dinner with that leg." Lily helped by carrying apples to the fridge one at a time, narrating each trip as if the apples needed encouragement. At the table later, Jack used his fork carefully, the brace resting stiff along the side of the chair. Claire watched him move, ready to jump in if he dropped anything, but not saying it. Lily chattered between bites of chicken. "Ms. Claire, did you know Dad snores?" she asked. "I do not snore," Jack said. "You did in the hospital," Lily said. "You sound like a bear in a cave." Claire smiled into her plate. "I believe the witness," she said. Days slid into a pattern. Jack went to physical therapy 3 times a week, learning to coax his knee back into movements it did not want to make. He sweated, hauling his leg up a 3-inch step. He swore under his breath when the therapist pushed the joint a little farther. At home, he did the exercises with Lily counting for him. 10 more, she would say. "You can do 10 more, Dad." He would do 9 stop and she would squint. "Maybe you do not know how to count," he would say. She would stick her tongue out at him and make him do 2 extra. NCIS and the FBI fed off the chaos from the ambush. They rolled up small crews, grabbed peripheral players who saw the writing on the wall, and started talking. Money trails lit up. Shell companies folded. Dock workers who had looked the other way suddenly remembered details. Miguel Vargas did not go to jail. He showed up in photos walking into buildings in a dark suit, his lawyer at his side, face calm. He emerged with statements about cooperation and shock at the illegal use of his facilities by rogue employees. He invited the press into his offices to show how committed he was to transparency. He donated to a charity for trafficking victims. Every night, Jack sat with his leg up, ice pressed to his knee, watching news segments that never said what he wanted them to say. Claire visited often. Sometimes she brought food. Sometimes she brought folders she set on the kitchen counter, without opening a line appearing between her brows. Sometimes she just brought herself. She came to understand the house as if it were partly hers, where the extra blankets were, which mug Lily preferred, the way the bathroom door stuck unless you lifted it a little. Lily accepted her presence quickly. Children often did. She would sit at the coffee table with Claire, drawing their heads bent close over the paper. Sometimes Lily would chatter about school. Sometimes Claire would talk about places she had been stationed, turning the sharp edges of those places into softer stories about food and markets and stray cats that followed people for blocks. Once on a wet Saturday afternoon, they all ended up on the floor building a blanket fort. Lily insisted the porch light had to stay on in case the fort needed to be found. Jack watched Claire hold up a blanket while Lily crawled underneath. "You realize I have an actual job somewhere," Claire said, voice muffled by the fabric. "You are doing the important part first," Lily said. "Fort building is more important than computers." Jack did not argue. The quiet did not last. It never did. One afternoon, a month after the ambush, Jack's phone buzzed on the coffee table while he was icing his knee. The number on the screen was unfamiliar. He almost let it go to voicemail, then picked it up. The message was not a call. It was a picture. He tapped it open. The first image was of Bayview Elementary's playground. Kids clustered around a set of swings, bright figures in primary colors. In the center of the frame, slightly blurred, was Lily. She stood on top of one of the low climbing structures, arms spread like an airplane. He felt something cold settle in his chest. The second image was of his house, taken from across the street slightly off-center. The porch light glowed in full daylight, a small circle of yellow against blue paint. Under the photos, a single line of text. "Nice light, easy to find." His grip tightened on the phone. The plastic creaked. He was already reaching for his crutches before he realized he was moving. He hit Elena's number as he struggled up from the couch. She picked up on the second ring. "Cruz." "They were at Lily's school," Jack said. "I just got pictures. playground, then my house. Someone was close enough to take a shot of her on the jungle gym. Send them to me, Elena said, voice sharpening. He forwarded the message, fighting the clumsy combination of crutch and phone. He could feel his heart thudding behind his ribs. Are your people at the school? He asked. Yes, she said. 2 agents on rotation. I am calling them now. Stay put. Staying put is not my strong suit, he said, but he lowered himself back onto the couch, because if he tried to run in his condition, he would end up on his face. 2 minutes later, his phone rang again. Agents on site see nothing out of place, Elena said. Lily is in math. School is on quiet alert. They are checking the perimeter. He got close enough for a clear shot, Jack said. That means your people missed him. We do not know when that photo was taken, Elena said. Could have been yesterday. Could have been last week. We will pull the school camera footage. We will push harder on patrol patterns. It is not just the school, Jack said. There is a shot of my house, porch light and all. Who else knows you keep that thing on? She asked. Anyone who walks by after dark, he said. There was a pause on the line. Jack, look at me, she said. He frowned. Phone, she said. Video. He switched to video reluctantly and pointed the camera at his face. You are not alone in this, she said. We are not going to let him use your kid as leverage. He already is, Jack said. She did not argue. After they hung up, the house felt different. The same furniture, the same pictures, but everything seemed closer, the walls an inch nearer to his shoulders. That evening, when Claire arrived with a paper bag of takeout and a set of new crayons for Lily, she caught the tension before she took her coat off. What happened? She asked. Jack showed her the photos. She looked at them for a long time without speaking, then set the phone down carefully. We can move you, she said. Safe house, new school, new routines, at least until the trial. No, Jack said. This is not about pride, she said. This is about safety. He shook his head. If I start running, we do not stop, he said. He will reach wherever we go eventually. Lily will learn that the world is a series of places you leave because someone points a camera at you. She will stay alive, Claire said. So that is enough, Jack asked up softly. He picked up the phone again, looked at the shot of Lily with her arms spread wide. She loves that playground, he said. She knows every crack in that sidewalk. Marcus's dog knows our porch steps. If I pull her out of all that I teach her, that he gets to decide her life. I am not ready to hand him that. Claire's jaw clenched. It is not handing him anything to be smart, she said. He looked at her. You did undercover work, he said. You lived by different names, different addresses. How did that feel when you looked back? She said nothing for a moment. Then her shoulders dropped a fraction. Like none of those places were really mine, she said. I want this to be hers, he said. I want her to know this house is home. That light is hers. People are going to protect her, but we are not going to erase her life because he sends a picture. That means we have to end this, she said. Yes, he said. That is the part we agree on. Later that night, after Lily was in bed and the house was quiet, except for the hum of the fridge and the faint rustle of leaves outside, Jack and Claire sat on the porch steps. The porch light glowed above them, attracting a couple of sleepy moths. Claire pulled her sweater tighter. He is testing you, she said, seeing how far he has to push before you fold. He is not the only one, Jack said. She tilted her head toward him. What do you mean, she asked. Every time I let fear make a decision, it gets easier the next time, he said. I have spent a long time trying to walk a line. Protect my kid without wrapping her in bubble wrap. This is stretching that line. She was quiet for a moment. I am sorry you have to do this calculus, she said. You already apologized for everything once, he said. You do not get to hoard all the guilt. She let out a breath that might have been a laugh. You know Elena and Derek are going to tighten security whether you like it or not, she said. I know, he said. Cameras, cars on the corner, strange men in boring clothes at every school play. Better than strangers with rifles, she said. True, he said. A car rolled slowly past on the street. Jack's shoulders tightened automatically, then eased when it continued without slowing. Claire watched his face. You used to be able to turn it off, did you? She asked. Never completely, he said. Over there it was constant. Here I tricked myself for a while. Coaching soccer, waiting in pickup lines, pretending the little things were all that mattered. And now, she asked. Now I remember that someone like Vargas exists in both worlds, he said. They sat in silence for a while. Inside, a light flicked on in Lily's room as she got up for a glass of water. It glowed faintly through the curtains. Claire nodded toward it. She is tougher than you think, she said. I know she is tough, he said. That is not the part that scares me. What does she ask? That she will see me flinch one too many times, he said, and start to think that is normal. Claire turned to look at him fully then. Then do what you have always done, she said. Look at the threat and walk toward it. He looked at her at the porch light at the street beyond. That is the plan, he said. The day it broke open started ordinary. Jack spent the morning at physical therapy grinding through exercises with a rubber band around his ankles and a therapist who refused to listen when he said he was fine. The room smelled like sweat and disinfectant. A TV in the corner played a daytime talk show with the sound off. On the last set, his quad trembled and gave out. He caught himself on his crutches before he hit the mat. Progress, the therapist said. You fell slower this time. Back home, the house felt quiet. Too quiet. Lily was at school. Claire was at her office buried in reports and briefings. The protection detail rotated on schedule. 2 agents in a car across the street. 1 shadow at the school. Another near Claire's building. Jack iced his knee-flipped channels without watching. Every traffic report made him listen for the word crash and the name of a road he knew. Every breaking news graphic made something in his chest hitch. His phone stayed face up on the table beside him, screen dark. Around noon it lit up. He expected Elena, or Marcus, or a spam call offering him a warranty on a truck he no longer remembered buying. The number was blocked. His thumb hovered for a second. Then he picked up. Rourke, he said. Good afternoon, Jack Miguel Vargas said. You sound tired. Rehabilitation will do that to a man. Jack stared at the wall. You are calling a monitored phone, he said. I counted on it, Vargas said. Say hello to whoever is on the line with you. Agent Cruz, perhaps, or Lieutenant Whitaker, or the Admiral himself. This is a group conversation anyway. In the NCIS Operations Center, Elena and Derek were already moving. The call trace ran on 1 screen, lines of code flickering. Admiral Whitaker stood with one hand on the back of a chair. Claire felt her stomach drop at the sound of Vargas's voice over the speakers. You have 30 seconds before this call routes through 5 countries, a tech said. We might get a region, not much more. Put it on speaker, Elena said. Vargas's voice filled the room. Did you enjoy your photo the other day? He asked Jack. Your daughter looked very happy on the playground. You stay away from her, Jack said. I could, Vargas said. I could also stay away from gravity. The question is whether I want to. Jack forced air in and out of his lungs. What do you want? He asked. Vargas did not answer right away. Jack could hear something in the background, an echo hard and hollow, like his voice was bouncing off concrete walls. I have never been a man who believed in choice, Vargas said. Most people call it choice when they mean the illusion of control, but you seem to care about it. You are a man who flips coins. Jack's hand moved unconsciously to his pocket, feeling the familiar weight of his coin there. Today I will give you a choice, Vargas said. On one side your daughter, on the other, Lieutenant Whitaker. 2 people you care about very much. 2 lives you would bleed for. Right now they are both with me. Jack's pulse thudded in his ears. You are lying, he said, but it came out thin. Am I? Vargas said. Listen. There was a rustle, the scuff of someone being moved. Then another sound came through the line. Faint. Frantic. Dad. Lily's voice was small and tight and wrong. It carried an echo like it came from inside a large, empty space. Bug, Jack said. The word came out strangled. Lily, I am here. The phone shifted. Another voice came over the line. Jack, Claire said. Her tone was clipped like she was fighting to keep it level. Do not do what he wants. Do you hear me? Do not let him choose the terms. Her voice cut off with a muffled sound like a hand over the mouthpiece. In the ops center, all color drained from the Admiral's face. Trace, he snapped. Working, the tech said. Signal is bouncing. I can get a radius, not a pin. Vargas came back on. You see, he said. No lie. 2 lives. 1 coin. What do you want? Jack said again, each word costing something. I want you, Vargas said. Alone. No admirals, no agents, no buzzing belt or listening ears. You come to me or I send pieces back until you stop pretending to be brave. You hurt them and I will break you, Jack said. His voice had gone very quiet. I am sure you will try, Vargas said. Here is how this will work. In 10 minutes, you will receive a text with an address, an industrial park off the highway south of town. There will be a particular building. You will recognize it. Come alone. If I see law enforcement within a mile, I start with the little one. The line clicked. In the operations center, the room exploded into motion. Lock down Bayview Elementary, Elena said. Now. Already on it, another agent called. Our people on site are not answering their phones. Get uniforms there, Derek said. And to Whitaker Security. Then we move outward. Cameras, traffic feeds, anything. Admiral Whitaker did not speak. His hand gripped the back of the chair so tightly his knuckles whitened. Jack sat at his kitchen table, phone still in his hand, the quiet of the house pressing on him. Then his phone buzzed again. A text. Coordinates. An address in an industrial corridor he recognized. Old warehouses and forgotten office space near the interstate. Under it, a line. Building C. You have 1 hour. He was halfway up when his knee reminded him brutally that it did not like sudden movement. Pain shot up his leg. He caught himself on the back of the chair and cursed. He did not remember crossing the room, but he found himself at the front door. 2 men in rumpled suits were hurrying up the walk, IDs already out. "Mr. Rourke," one of them said, "we have a situation at the school. Lily is not in her classroom. We are working it." "You are late," Jack said. He pushed past them and headed for the truck. At the base, Elena's phone lit up. "Rourke is on the move," a voice from surveillance said. "Leaving his house in his truck. 2 units on him." "Let him go," Admiral Whitaker said. "But we are on his bumper." He looked at Elena and Derek. "Suit up," he said. The industrial park sat low against the horizon, gray buildings behind a row of scrub trees. The sky had gone overcast, clouds hanging heavy. Jack's truck rolled through the open gate. The guard shack was empty. No security cameras pointed in from the entrance that he could see. He followed the numbers painted on the corners of the buildings. ABC. The letters were stenciled in white on rusting metal. Building C had 3 loading bays and 1 personnel door, all closed. A couple of cars sat abandoned along the side, tires low. He parked 15 yards out, angled so he could see the entrance and the lot. His knee protested when he climbed down. He ignored it. He walked toward the door alone. In his ear, a voice crackled. "Jack, this is Cruz. We are there. 2 streets over. We have eyes on your position." "I told you to stay away," Jack said under his breath. "And we told you we do not take orders from civilians," Elena said. "You are staying on the line." He did not argue. The phone was in his pocket. The audio was open. The personnel door to Building C was unlocked. The handle turned easily in his hand. Inside, it was dim and smelled like dust and oil. Concrete floor. Metal walls. The echo of his footsteps came back at him. "Talk to me," Derek said. "What do you see?" Jack took a cautious step inside. His eyes adjusted. "Warehouse," he said. "Empty, no racks, no crates, just open space." He looked to his left. In the center of the open floor, 2 chairs sat side by side. Rope coiled around their legs and arms. 2 shapes were tied to the chairs. His breath hitched. "Visual on 2 bodies," he said. "Adult size and child size. Tied up, center floor." Outside in the command van, the infrared monitor showed the same thing. 2 bright human-sized heat signatures glowing on a blue background inside Building C. "We see them," Elena said. "We have thermal. Looks like them. Stand by. We are moving to breach." Jack moved closer, heart pounding. "Jack, wait for us," Elena said. "We are 90 seconds out." He did not wait. He limped across the concrete, each step louder in his ears than it should have been. The chairs grew clearer. The shapes sharpened. 20 feet. 10. His stomach dropped. They were not people. They were mannequins. White plastic torsos on metal stands positioned in the chairs. Blank faces stared at nothing. Heated blankets were wrapped around them, plugged into an extension cord that snaked along the floor to a power strip. Jack stopped dead. "It is a decoy," he said. Near the ceiling on the far wall, a small red light blinked. A camera lens sat behind a clear dome aimed down at the chairs. "Camera," Jack said. "He is watching." His phone vibrated in his pocket. He answered. "You always did have good instincts," Vargas said. "I was curious how far you would get before you realized you were talking to empty shells." "Where is she?" Jack asked. His voice sounded flat even to his own ears. "Where are they?" "Somewhere else," Vargas said. "Somewhere that matters more to you than an old warehouse? Use your imagination." Behind Vargas's smooth tone, Jack could hear something. A faint sound like wind through leaves. The distant rush of what might have been a passing car. He looked around the warehouse. The blank walls. The mannequins in their chairs. The useless blankets humming heat into empty plastic. "Why send me here?" Jack asked. "To prove a point," Vargas said. "You do not move without your friends anymore. You do not take a step without half a dozen guns following. I wanted to see if you would still come when I said alone." And Jack said, "And you did," Vargas said. "You came. They came. Everyone came. That tells me something. It tells me how tightly you are all tied together." Jack's hand clenched around the phone. "If you hurt them," he said, "I will find you." "You keep saying that," Vargas said. "Here is what is going to happen. In a few minutes, your friends will flood that warehouse. They will find your little stage. They will look for clues. They will read all the signs. Meanwhile, I will be exactly where I want to be. Somewhere personal. somewhere that means home to you. The word hit like a punch. Home. The porch light, the little blue house with peeling trim, the hydrangea, Lily's messy room, the worn couch and the coffee table covered in crayons. Jack looked at the blinking red light on the camera. He felt something cold climb up his spine. "You are at my house," he said. Silence on the line was answer enough. In the van, Elena's head snapped up. "What did he say?" she asked. "He is at my house," Jack said. "He is in my house. With my kid. With Claire." All at once, the pieces fell into place. The empty warehouse, the decoy heat signatures, the camera, a show staged to pull resources to one place while he moved in on another. "Get units to Rourke's address," Admiral Whitaker said. His voice cut through the chatter in the van like a blade. "Now. Full lights. No sirens until you are close. We do not spook him into making it fast." Vehicles peeled away from the curb. Engines roared. Tires squealed on wet asphalt. Elena grabbed the dash. "Jack, listen to me," she said. "You are closer to the main road than we are. Take your truck. Head home. Do not go in until we are there." "I am not waiting outside while he is in there," Jack said. "You go in alone and we might end up with 3 bodies instead of 2, Derek said. "Think." Jack was already moving. He limped back through the warehouse, the emptiness mocking around him. The mannequins sat in their chairs, blankets glowing faintly. Outside, the sky had gone darker. The air felt charged. He climbed into his truck. His knees screamed. He started the engine anyway. Gravel spit under his tires as he shot out of the industrial park and onto the main road. The speed limit signs blurred. Trees and buildings streaked by in his peripheral vision. In the side mirror, distant blue lights flared as other vehicles fell in behind. His phone stayed open on the seat. "Units converging on Rourke's residence," a voice over the line said. "Neighbors," Admiral Whitaker asked. "Working on quiet containment," Elena said. "We do not want anyone wandering into a crossfire." Jack's hands were tight on the wheel. His knuckles stood out pale against the steering wheel. He turned onto his street faster than he should have. The little blue house came into view at the end of the block. The porch light was on. The front door stood slightly ajar. Jack killed the engine halfway down the block. The sudden quiet roared in his ears. The little blue house sat at the end of the street porch, light-glowing front door cracked open. The rest of the houses looked normal. Lawns, cars, a sprinkler ticking in the distance. Nothing normal about the way his skin crawled. He reached for the glove compartment, popped it, and pulled out the pistol he kept locked there. He checked the magazine by touch. Full. Headlights swept the street behind him. An unmarked sedan slid to a stop near the corner. A black SUV pulled up behind it, then another. Doors opened fast. Elena, Derek, and Admiral Whitaker moved toward his truck vests already on. 2 tactical agents fell in behind them, with carbines held low. "Slow down," Elena said, hand up. "We do this clean." "He is in my house," Jack said. The words came out rough. "With my kid. We go in together," Derek said. "You rush alone, he uses them as shields. You know that." Admiral Whitaker looked at the house, his jaw set hard enough to crack. "We take the back and the side," he said. "No lights, no shouting. Rourke, you and I go around. Cruz Cole take the stack team to the front. Last resort, we breach on 2 sides." "Copy," Elena said. They fanned out. Jack moved with the Admiral along the neighbor's fence line, his brace awkward in the damp grass. His knee sent sharp little reminders up his leg with each step. Adrenaline washed the edge off, but he felt it. The smell of cut grass and grill smoke hung in the air. A dog barked 2 yards over. Somewhere a TV played a game show laughter drifting faint on the wind. At the side of the house, Jack stopped and listened. Voices, muffled, not close to the front, deeper in. He nodded toward the back. The Admiral tightened his grip on the shotgun he carried. They eased along the siding. The backyard opened in front of them. The porch light spilled weak yellow onto the deck, but most of the yard was lit by something harsher. 2 portable work lights on stands blasted white glare over the grass, turning the lawn into a stage. In the center, 2 folding chairs sat side by side. Lily was tied to one. Rope wound around her chest and arms, pinning her to the back. Tape covered her mouth. Her eyes were huge and wet in the light. Her sneakers barely touched the ground. Claire was in the other chair, wrists bound to the arms, ankles tied. Her blouse was torn, dark with dirt, and some blood along one sleeve. Tape crossed her mouth too. A line of dried blood marked her cheek. Behind them stood Miguel Vargas. He held a pistol lightly in his right hand, barrel resting near Lily's head, almost casual. He wore dark clothes that did not show the damp hair slicked back. His expression was calm. If it were not for the gun, he could have been a man at a barbecue. 4 men ringed the yard, spread out near the fence. Each carried a rifle. Their stances were relaxed but ready. One smoked the ember red in the bright wash of the floods. Jack's vision narrowed. "Remember," the Admiral breathed. "He sees one of us, he squeezes." Jack forced himself to breathe. From the front of the house, muffled through walls and distance, came the faint creak of a door. Elena's team moving in position. Vargas turned his head slightly, as if hearing something, but he did not look away from his captives. "Mr. Rourke," he called, voice steady. "If we are going to do this, let us skip the sneaking and the tactical ballet. Why do you not join us?" He had not raised his voice much. It still carried. Lily jerked at the sound of Jack's name, eyes snapping toward the side yard. Jack stepped out from the shadow of the house and into the hard circle of light. He heard the Admiral hiss in frustration, but he moved with him so it looked deliberate. The brightness stabbed Jack's eyes. He squinted against it. Vargas smiled. "There you are," he said. "I was starting to think you did not care about them." The gun in his hand never wavered. It stayed near Lily's head, close enough that a tremor would bridge the distance. "Let them go," Jack said. His voice sounded thin in the open yard. "Drop your weapon," one of the riflemen barked from the fence line. Jack obeyed. He knelt slowly, set the pistol on the grass, and nudged it forward with his fingers. The Admiral did the same, with the shotgun eyes never leaving Vargas. "One step closer and I kill the girl first," Vargas said mildly. "Then the lieutenant. Then we see how long you take to die." "Nothing between us but air," Jack said. "You want me, you have me." "I already have you," Vargas said. "You just have not admitted it." Lily made a small sound behind the tape, his name muffled. "It is all right," Bug Jack said, unable to stop himself. "I am right here." Vargas pressed the pistol a fraction closer to her temple. "Careful," he said softly. "Look at me," Jack said. "Leave her out of it. Your problem is with me." "My problem is with all of you," Vargas said. "You and your friends and your admirals and your agents. You took my business, my money. You put my men in cages. Now I take something back." His gaze slid to Admiral Whitaker. "Families make such useful pressure points," he said. "Is that not right, Admiral?" The Admiral's jaw ticked. "You touch her, and you do not leave this yard," he said. "I was not talking about my daughter," Vargas said. There, for the first time, his mask slipped a little. Something dark flickered in his eyes. "You moved against me," he said to Jack. "You climbed into my van. You brought soldiers to my roads. You shot my people. Every man in that chain thought he was the last one I would blame. They were wrong. It all comes back to the man who started it." "You started it when you took those girls," Jack said. Vargas sighed as if embarrassed for him. "You still think in straight lines," he said. "Cause and effect. Good and evil. It is charming. It is also why you will lose." He shifted his stance a little, centering his weight. His finger curled around the trigger. Behind him, one of the riflemen at the fence glanced toward the house. His attention flickered. From inside, a floorboard creaked again. Soft. Then a faint thump. Vargas's head tilted. "Your friends," he said. "They think they are very stealthy." "You waited until they got here," Jack said. "You wanted an audience." "Of course," Vargas said. "What is the point of a show without one?" He straightened the pistol steady. "Here is how this ends," he said. "You watch me pull this trigger, twice. Then I walk out through the front one of your own cars as my escort. Anyone tries to stop me, we see who else dies in the process." "You think you can walk away from this yard?" Admiral Whitaker said. "You are surrounded." Vargas smiled. "You think you have the only people with guns?" he said. Beyond the fence, engines revved to life. Jack heard the low growl of vehicles that had not been there minutes ago. The sound came from the alley from the side street, wrapping the yard on two more sides. "He brought his own cavalry," Derek's voice said faintly in Jack's ear. "We have movement on thermal." Elena whispered something harsh off mic. Jack tuned it out. The world shrank to the pistol, Lily's wide eyes, Claire's white knuckles where rope cut into her wrists. "Take me instead," Jack said. "You said you wanted to hurt me. This does it. Kill me and go." "I told you already," Vargas said. "Killing you would be a mercy. I prefer the slower cuts." His finger tightened. A single shot cracked the air. For a heartbeat, time froze. Vargas jerked. His face went slack with surprise. The pistol flew out of his hand and hit the grass, spinning. A burst of red bloomed on his right shoulder, where the round had punched through. He staggered, his balance gone, and reached blindly for Lily's chair. His fingers brushed her shoulder and slipped. Behind Jack, Admiral Whitaker lowered his handgun arm, still extended from the shot. His eyes were flat and cold. "Hands off my family," the Admiral said. Everything moved at once. The riflemen swung their weapons toward the Admiral and Jack. Elena's team burst out of the back door, fanning across the deck, shouting commands. "Federal agents," someone yelled. "Drop your weapons, now!" Muzzles flashed in the glare of the work lights. Bullets shredded the potted hydrangea, cracked into the fence, sent splinters flying. Jack did not think. He pushed himself up from his knees. His legs screamed. He launched forward anyway, a limping sprint that felt like running in a nightmare. One of the riflemen swung his sights toward him. A shot went wide as Elena slammed into the man from the side, driving his aim off. They grappled in the wet grass. Jack closed the distance to Vargas in 3 uneven strides. Vargas was on his knees, hand pressed to his bloody shoulder. He looked up as Jack reached him. "You just do not quit," Vargas said. Jack's fist hit him in the jaw. Cartilage popped. Vargas fell backwards, skull thumping against the lawn. Jack landed on top of him, straddling his chest, one knee grinding into the wounded shoulder. He started hitting. Years of training turned his punches efficient. Short arcs, knuckles meeting bone with dull, ugly sounds. No wasted motion. Each impact landed with a sense memory attached. Girls in vans, photos on screens. Lily's voice over a phone line saying "Dad" in a way he had never heard before. Claire tied to a chair under harsh lights. Vargas's nose broke. Blood sprayed across Jack's hands, warm and slick. Vargas tried to turn his head to shield his face with his good arm, but there was nowhere to go. "Jack," someone shouted. He did not stop. A hand grabbed his shoulder. He shrugged it off and drew his fist back again. Another hand clamped on his wrist muscles, locking his arm mid-swing. "Brother, that is enough," Marcus said in his ear. Jack had not seen him arrive. Marcus's voice cut through the roar in his head. "You kill him here, it is about you," Marcus said. "You leave him breathing, it is about what he did." For a long moment, Jack's world vibrated on the edge of another punch. Then he let his fist go slack. His breath tore in and out of his chest. His hands dripped red. Around them, the yard crackled with commands and motion. The riflemen were on the ground, hands zip-tied behind their backs. Agents moved through the scene, clearing corners. Elena crouched by Lily, fingers working at the tape over her mouth. As soon as it came free, Lily sobbed a raw sound and struggled against the ropes. Jack pushed himself off Vargas. His knee buckled. Marcus grabbed his elbow and kept him upright. Vargas lay on his back, face a swollen, bloody mess, gasping for breath. His right arm lay twisted at an odd angle. Blood soaked his shoulder and pooled beneath him on the grass. He was alive. Jack turned away from him. Lily sat in the chair rope, still circling her small body. The work lights threw her shadow long and thin across the lawn. "Dad," she cried. He stumbled to her, dropping to one knee in front of her chair. The brace bit into his skin. Pain flared. It did not matter. "I have you," he said. His fingers shook as he tore at the knots. "I am here." The ropes fell away. She launched herself into his arms so hard she almost knocked him backward. He caught her, held her, felt her whole body shudder. "I thought you were not coming," she sobbed into his shoulder. "I am right here," he said. "I am not going anywhere." Behind her, Claire sat still tied, breathing hard through her nose, her eyes shining above the tape. Elena moved to her cutting bindings, peeling tape from her mouth with a gentleness that did not match the adrenaline in her face. Claire sucked in a breath as the adhesive pulled at her skin. "Welcome back," Elena murmured. Claire's eyes went immediately to Lily and Jack. They looked like a knot on the grass, his bent frame, Lily's arms locked around his neck, both of them shaking in opposite rhythms. Claire willed her legs to move. They were numb and tingling from being pinned. She stumbled up from the chair, ripping the last ropes away. She crossed the few feet between them and dropped into the embrace, arms circling both of them, forehead resting against Jack's shoulder, Lily pressed between. For a moment, the harsh lights, the sirens, the voices all faded. It was just the three of them under the porch light. The night drained away in pieces. Paramedics moved in their blue gloves, bright under the work lights. They checked Lily's pulse, Claire's blood pressure, the cut on Jack's cheek that he had not realized was bleeding. Vargas went out on a stretcher under heavy guard, oxygen mask over his bruised face, one arm strapped to his side, the other pinned by steel cuffs to the rail. Jack watched them wheel him past the hydrangea. "You should get that leg looked at again," one of the paramedics said. Jack glanced down. His brace was spattered with mud and blood. The knee under it throbbed in time with his heart. "I was just there," he said. "Congratulations," the paramedic said. You are a repeat customer." He tried to argue. Claire cut him off. "Go," she said. "We have got Lily." She stood with one hand on Lily's shoulder, a blanket around both of them. Lily clung to the fox plush someone had dug out of the house, fur matted from the night. Jack looked at them, at the porch light humming above their heads, at the FBI agent stringing tape across his yard. "I will meet you there," he said, At the hospital, everything smelled the same as it had 2 weeks earlier. Antiseptic, coffee, sleep. The surgeon looked less surprised than a person should look at seeing him again so soon. "You did not even give this knee time to pretend to heal," she said, frowning at the swelling. "Occupational hazard," he said. They did not cut him open again. X-rays showed no new tears, just angry tissue and fluid. "You set yourself back," she said. "If you like pain, you are on the right track." He spent one night under observation. Machines beeped. Nurses checked vitals. His leg felt like it belonged to someone else. In the small hours, he stared at the dark ceiling and listened to the clink of metal against metal in his head. Knuckles on bone, a gun hitting grass. He saw Lily's face under harsh lights, Claire's eyes above tape. At some point he slept. He woke to the rustle of paper and the faint sound of crayons. Lily sat cross-legged in the visitor chair hung between her teeth, drawing on a clipboard. Claire sat beside her, with a coffee hair tied back, eyes shadowed. "You snore," Lily said without looking up, again. "I am consistent," he said. He pushed himself up on the pillows and winced. "How are you feeling?" Claire asked. "Like someone rearranged my parts and put them back wrong," he said. She smiled a little. "That sounds accurate," she said. Lily hopped down and climbed onto the bed, careful of the blanket over his leg. "Mom says you have to listen to the doctor," she said. The word hung there. Jack blinked. "Mom, huh?" he said. Lily flushed. "You know what I mean," she said quickly. "I mean Claire. She told me to say Claire. It just came out." Claire looked away, her hand tightening around the coffee cup. Jack reached over and tucked a strand of hair behind Lily's ear. "I like the way it came out," he said. A week later, Vargas appeared in federal court. The courtroom smelled like polished wood and old paper. Reporters filled the benches. The three women pulled from the van sat near the front with advocates on either side. Jack and Claire took seats a few rows back. Lily stayed home with Marcus. Miguel Vargas wore an orange jumpsuit and a sling on his right arm. His face was still discolored, one eye bloodshot. He had lost weight. The confident tilt of his shoulders was gone. He looked smaller. The prosecutor read the list of charges: trafficking, kidnapping, assault, conspiracy, 47 counts in all. Vargas's lawyer, a thin man with expensive glasses, stood and cleared his throat. "My client wishes to enter a plea," he said. "Guilty, Your Honor." A murmur went through the room. In exchange for that plea, the lawyer continued. "The government has agreed to pursue life imprisonment without parole rather than the death penalty. My client understands he will die in prison." The judge looked at Vargas. "Is that your understanding?" she asked. Vargas nodded. "Yes, Your Honor," he said. His voice sounded smaller too. "Do you wish to make a statement?" she asked. His lawyer tried to object. Vargas lifted his good hand. "I would," he said. He turned in the box, his eyes scanning the benches, as if searching for someone. They found Jack and Claire. "You think you won?" he said. "You think you saved people. Maybe you did. A handful. Enough to feel good about yourselves. You want to know something interesting? You were never supposed to save her." He jerked his chin toward Claire. "Lieutenant Whitaker was already under my roof," he said. "She sat at my table. She let me buy her dinner. She pretended to laugh at my jokes. She slept in my bed." Claire stiffened. Gasps rippled through the room. "She fed little pieces of information to your friends," Vargas went on. "She thought she was very clever. When my men put her in that van at Harbor Mart, it was not just a kidnap. It was clean up. It was tying off loose ends. Your hero here just happened to be standing there with a cart." He nodded toward Jack. "Stumbled in at the right moment," Vargas said. "He saved her life, yes. And ruined months of your own operation. He is not part of your plan. He is a complication." The judge banged her gavel. "Mr. Vargas, this is not the place to grandstand," she said. Vargas smiled, and for a second Jack saw the man from the office again, the one with the coin. "They should know," Vargas said. "They should know their neat story is not as clean as they think." Two marshals took him by the arms. The lawyer sat down face tight. Jack turned slowly in his seat to look at Claire. She met his eyes. "It is true," she said quietly. "I was under deeper than I told you, than I told anyone." "For how long?" he asked. 6 months, she said. "I built a cover. I met one of his lieutenants at a bar he controlled. Pretended to be bored and rich and restless. Let him chase me. We dated. I attended parties, dinners, trips. I went places I did not want to go and laughed at things that were not funny. I got access to accounts, phones, schedules. It took time. By the end, Vargas invited me into his house for weekends. I was there when he talked business. I was in the next room when he told men to move product that was people." Her mouth twisted. "I thought I was in control," she said. Then his lieutenant found a file he was not supposed to find, one with photos of me in uniform. The van at Harbor Mart was them coming to correct that. Jack sat with that. You never said he said. It was classified, she said. And ugly. I did not want you to look at me and see those nights. I wanted you to know the part where I sat at your table and pretended I could cook. His fingers tightened on the edge of the bench. The nights you spent on his couch, he said slowly, are not the ones I see when I look at you. What do you see, she asked. You on my porch, he said. You in my living room with flour on your nose. You in this courtroom breathing. That is enough. Her eyes went bright. She nodded once. Outside, reporters swarmed the courthouse steps. Jack kept his head down and angled away. Claire did the same, her shoulders tight. Admiral Whitaker walked between them, tall and solid, absorbing some of the attention. Elena and Derek stood near the curb, leaning against an unmarked car. That went about as well as a circus can go, Derek said. He is in a box, Elena said. That is what matters. Boxes have bars, Derek said. Bars have gaps. Men like Vargas know how to talk through gaps. Elena looked at Jack. You did good work, she said. This is the part where I am supposed to tell you to take time. Focus on your kid. Let the system handle the rest. You are not going to, he said. No, she said. You do not listen anyway. Months passed. Jack's knee healed as much as it was going to. The brace became smaller, then a sleeve, then finally a memory. He walked with a slight hitch on cold mornings, a reminder that some things never went entirely away. Lily's nightmares faded slowly. At first they came every night. She would wake with a gasp, eyes wild, fingers clutching his arm hard enough to leave marks. The porch light went out, she would say. I could not see. He would sit with her hand on her back. It is still on, he would say. Feel it through the wall. It is humming. It will not let us get lost. Little by little, the dreams came less often. She started drawing again. Less black, more foxes. Claire returned to work, but something in her changed. She took fewer field briefings. She spent more time in rooms with windows. One evening, Admiral Whitaker showed up on Jack's porch in civilian clothes. He held a folder instead of a card this time. I was at a conference, he said. Met some people with money and guilt. They want to feel like they are doing something about the way we treat veterans when we take the uniform away. I mentioned a guy I know who might have ideas. Jack opened the folder. Inside were papers, grant proposals, budget estimates, a name at the top of one page. Lighthouse Protective Training Initiative. You did that, Jack said. Claire suggested the name the Admiral said. She thought you would appreciate the symbolism. Jack pictured the painting in Vargas's office, the lighthouse throwing light over dark water. Then he pictured his own porch light, a little circle on worn blue siding. What is it, he asked. A program, the Admiral said, run by veterans for veterans, training them in security investigation protection, giving them a way to use what they know without burning out. There are contracts lined up already. Government, private. They need a director. I can barely run my own kitchen, Jack said. You can build a team, the Admiral said. You can read people. You know what it feels like to walk out of that gate and wonder if anything you did still matters. That is the person I want in charge. Jack flipped a page. There, under organizational structure, someone had typed a second name beside his. Co-director Claire Whitaker. He looked up. She is on board, he asked. She is the one who made me sit through a 2-hour slideshow about proper office chairs for staff, the Admiral said. I am fairly certain she is on board. The facility was a rehabbed warehouse near the water. High ceilings, concrete floors, a space that smelled like possibility and dust. On the first morning, 12 men and women in plain clothes sat in mismatched chairs, while Jack stood at the front heart, beating faster than it had when he stepped into Vargas's office. Most of you have done harder things in other places, he said. You have carried heavier gear. You have walked toward worse sounds. This is not about repeating that. This is about learning how to use what you already know in a world that pretends it does not need it. Claire stood at the back, arms folded, watching. When he finished, she nodded once, approval clear, in the small shift of her shoulders. They built the thing piece by piece. Classrooms with whiteboards that Lily drew foxes on when no one was looking. A mat room where Jack and Marcus ran drills in slower, more patient patterns. A shooting range where veterans relearned guns as tools, not identities. Claire handled the business side. Contracts, insurance, meetings with people in suits who wanted assurances and PowerPoints. She got good at it. When corporations walked through the building and saw her, they relaxed. When they saw Jack leaning on a cane in the corner, they listened. Lily adopted the warehouse as an extension of home. She did homework in Claire's office, colored on old briefing folders, memorized which vending machines ate your dollar and which did not. She played a game sometimes. She would stand in the lobby with her eyes closed and spin herself in a slow circle. "Where is the light?" she would ask. Jack would answer. "Behind you," he would say. "Above you? In here?" He would tap her chest lightly. She would roll her eyes and call him corny. The first class graduated with all 12 placed into jobs: embassy security, corporate protection, one as a bodyguard for a retired judge who wanted someone who did not scare easily. At the informal ceremony, the admiral made a short speech. Elena and Derek clapped from the back. Marcus grilled hot dogs on a portable setup in the parking lot. Claire stood at the edge of the group, watching the veterans laugh and push each other and talk about schedules. "This is what you did," Jack said quietly, stepping up beside her. "We did," she said. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his coin. The edges were smoother than when he got it. Tiny nicks marked where it had hit floors and tables and once a van seat. "Pick," he said. Claire arched an eyebrow. For what she asked. "Eagle," he said. "We go out somewhere fancy for dinner. Shield, we grab tacos on the beach and let Lily pick the playlist." She looked at the coin. "You know it does not change what you really want," she said. "I like the ritual," he said. She sighed, and the corner of her mouth lifted. "All right," she said. "Eagle." He flipped the coin. It spun in the air, caught the light from the lobby, and came down in his palm. He covered it, made a show of peeking, then opened his hand. "Shield," he said. She laughed. "You are a terrible liar," she said. "Good," he said. "Tacos, then." They did not need the coin for the next decision. 8 months later, in their kitchen with Lily pretending to do homework at the table and actually listening, Jack dropped to one knee on the tile. His bad one. It hurt. He did it anyway. Claire stared at him, then at the small ring box in his hand, then at Lily covering a smile with her notebook. He cleared his throat. "I do not have a speech," he said. "I have a porch light that has stayed on through a lot. A kid who already thinks you are her mother, and a life that fits better with you in it than it ever did without you." He flipped the box open. Claire's eyes filled. She nodded before her voice worked. "Yes," she said. "Of course." Lily squealed. "I knew it," she said. "I have been drawing wedding dresses for weeks." They married in Admiral Whitaker's backyard in late summer. The air smelled like charcoal and flowers. Strings of lights hung between trees. The hydrangeas in the corner actually bloomed that year. Lily walked ahead of Claire in a simple blue dress, scattering petals from a small basket. Claire followed on her father's arm, hair pinned back, dress plain and clean. Under a rented arch, Jack waited in a suit that felt strange on his shoulders but right enough. He slipped the ring onto her finger, with hands that had done far rougher things. "You sure?" he asked quietly, so only she could hear. She squeezed his fingers. "Absolutely," she said, after they ate barbecue on paper plates in the grass. Marcus told stories that made people wipe their eyes from laughing. Elena pretended not to cry when Lily called Claire Mom in front of everyone. When the sun went down, the porch light on the back of the Admiral's house snapped on, casting a familiar circle over the steps. Years later, on a fall afternoon that smelled like damp leaves and coffee, Jack stood at the back of the training floor, watching another group of veterans run a drill. His limp was less noticeable now. He had learned new ways to move, to compensate, to lead from places that did not require sprinting. Lily 10 now leaned against the railing beside him, a notebook in her hand. She wore a hoodie 2 sizes too big and a ponytail so high it bounced when she turned her head. "Dad," she said, "do you ever wish you had just walked past that van at Harbor Mart?" The question landed gentle and heavy at once. He watched Claire across the room. She was at a whiteboard with one of the trainees drawing a diagram of a security layout. She wore jeans and a gray t-shirt with the lighthouse logo on it. Her ring caught the overhead light when she gestured. The veterans moved through the drill below, voices calling, boots thumping on mats. Jack looked down at Lily. She had grown into herself. Same eyes, same stubborn line to her jaw, fewer shadows in the corners. "If I had walked past," he said, "the light would have gone out for a lot of people." He nodded toward Claire. "For her," he said. "For those 3 girls in the van. For some of the people down there." He tapped the railing with 2 fingers. "For me," he added. Lily considered that. "And for me?" she asked. He smiled. "For you," he said. "Most of all." She looked at the coin in his hand. He had not even realized he had taken it out of his pocket. "Can I flip it?" she asked. He placed it on her palm. "Always," he said. She tossed it up. It spun in the light, caught silver flashes, and dropped back into her hand. She slapped it to the back of her other hand and peeked. "Eagle," she said. "What does that mean?" he asked. She grinned. "It means tacos," she said. "And we leave the porch light on." Thank you so much for listening to today's story. If this story resonated with you or made you reflect, I'd love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to share them in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss the next story.